This is Master Coach Chris Thompson here. I want to welcome you to How to Attract Leads. This is where you start to attract leads for your coaching business. And I've talked to a lot of coaches, and this is after you've set up how many clients you're trying to run on, how many clients you need to get in order to create the income that you want to create in order to maybe go full-time as a coach, quit your day job, whatever your particular goal is. The next question after that, and how do I need to manage my day and all of those pieces, is where do I find people to talk to? Chris, how do I find people to talk to? That's what this is about. This is where you start, A to Z, how to attract a lead or people that want to find out more. Again, it's not about your coaching. People aren't interested in your coaching. This is about the problem that you're going to solve. And then the next step after we cover this stuff is going to be scheduling one-on-one sample sessions, discovery sessions, free coaching sessions, whatever you want to call it. We can work on your marketing even when we get there. But that's what the purpose of this is. This is the purpose, A to Z, of lead generation. This is a lead generation worksheet. So treat it like a worksheet, fill it out as you go along. It's designed to start at the beginning and go to the end. So sometimes folks want to skip ahead. That's not what this is. You gotta handle the basics first. So we're gonna dive in, and I'm going to guide you through this. And of course, if I'm coaching you and you have questions, you can talk to me about it, or if you are working with another coach, get with them about it. But let's dive in. Let's go get you some clients here. Let's go get you some leads. So the first piece is there's an inner game, an outer game, and action around lead generation. Those are the three levels that you have to be clear on in order to achieve success in anything. You got to have the inner game, outer game, and action. The inner game is your beliefs. So do you believe leads are abundant, or do you believe that coaching leads are scarce? Do you believe that there's more people than you can possibly work with, or do you believe that nobody's going to want to work with you? If you believe that there's not enough leads, that they're scarce, it's an imaginary hurdle that you're putting in front of your sales success. Instead, I would suggest you choose to believe that there's more business out there than you can possibly handle yourself, because it's true. If you're listening to this, likely you can't. You're a one-on-one coach most of the time when we begin, and we can't work with hundreds of people in the very beginning as a one-on-one coach. You may only be able to work with 20 or 30 or 40. So you don't need everybody in the world to work with you. You only need the correct, right people, right fit to work with you. So that's what we're here to do, is attract those folks. So you must have an abundant mindset when it comes to leads, and there are plenty of people to talk to, more than you'll be able to handle if we do it right. And that's what this conversation is about. It's about doing it right. So we're putting the bait out there and we're attracting people to us. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. The outer game is what you say, when you say it, how you say it. The inner game is what you think, right? What you believe. Outer game is what you say, when you say it, how you say it. It's your tactics around lead generation. So it's the words that you use, or scripting as I call it, which is basically words in sequence that have meaning. It's what you say, when you say it, how you say it. It's your system around taking someone through a pipeline. That's the outer game. So I do not engage with people ever without having a plan for what I'm going to do with each person I engage in. I already know in advance what I expect to put them through as far as my pipeline, my sales process, my funnel, if you will, some people call it. Okay, and you're going to be the same way when you get done with this and you practice it until you get the hang of it. Doesn't mean you can't change it, doesn't mean you can't tweak it as you come across people. You absolutely can, but this is the way that you want to start. And again, everything I'm sharing here is just one way to do it. There are many, many thousands of ways to generate leads, thousands of ways to do it. So take the best and leave the rest. If there's something here that you don't want to do, don't do it. It's your coaching business. It's not my coaching business. I'm sharing with you what I've seen working with many, many coaches, and what I've seen work in my own coaching business, and I'm sharing that information. If there's something that you just don't want to do, you want to do it a different way, hey, that's why you have a coaching business. You have a coaching business so you get to make the decisions. I'm not attached to you agreeing or disagreeing. I'm simply sharing with you what I've seen work and what's worked for others. So you'll have to decide that for yourself. But I'm going to suggest and give you these so at least you have a place to start. and templates to start from, and then you can always make adjustments as you go if you wish. So the purpose of generating a lead is generate a lead. Oh, I forgot action. Following through on setting up and taking enough action on your lead generation system. When we talk about that, we start talking about the tracker. If you've seen that video, if you haven't seen that video, you can watch that video when it comes to action, which is enough action on lead generation to attract enough people to talk to get enough clients to create the income that you want to change your life. So we're not going to get into that because I already got a video on that, but that's what the action is. This is about volume of action. This is about enough action. One of the biggest challenges coaches have is they simply don't take near enough action. Okay? You want to drown this problem. You want to have so many leads that you're drowning the problem of, I don't have enough people to talk to. Okay, we care about people, we love people, we're looking for people to change their lives. Let's get out there and take massive action, reaching people, putting out valuable information about problems that they already know they have to solve. You love people, you care about people, you want to make a difference, you want to help them. It's what I hear from all y'all every day. So get out there, let's do it. Okay, so that's action. That's the amount, enough action. I put that in bold for a reason. Give up or step up. You must take enough action to hit your goals, or you must give up on the goal. So that's what this is. It's about creating enough momentum to create enough success that you can keep going through this dip that we have. If you ever want to read that book, it's a great book. The Dip by Seth Godin talks about this, where there's a gap between when you start something and when the results hit, and that's why coaches exist. Because if success was easy, people would just do it and it would happen. Okay, back into the purpose of generating a lead is to generate a lead. This is where you want someone to raise their hand and they want more information, enough to give you their contact information. Nothing more, nothing less. We're not here to sell your coaching right now. This is nothing more than attracting interest of someone who wants to find out more. That's it. Get their contact information. That's all we're trying to do here. We are not trying to sell them your coaching right now. Okay? That's like going on a first date and asking them to marry you on the first date. It's too much too soon. Right now they're simply intrigued and they want to find out more. So we take them through our process of where we give more information, and that's what we're going to do. That's the purpose of this entire thing. So let's dive in a little further. So lead generation begins with identifying your target market or your niche. Okay. What happens if you don't have a niche? A lot of people will debate this, whether you should have a niche or not have a niche. My opinion is you must have a niche. It's my opinion. The reason why I feel that way is for a couple of reasons. You cannot craft your marketing message to attract leads if you don't know what kind of coaching leads you want. Okay, you can't attract an ideal customer if you don't pick a niche, because you won't be able to have a message they find attractive. You will just randomly attract the same people that you have been attracting. And if that works for you, cool. But you can't craft a marketing message and be intentional about it if you don't know who you are tailoring it for. And intuitively, we all know this, right? Like a children's book is for children. Like we get it, right? Okay, that's for kids, right? It's tailored to the child's mind, right? Second reason I would say that if you don't have a niche, what happens next is if you say you're just a life coach, which a lot of coaches do, is they say they're a life coach. I use life coach in my marketing because I market to people who are life coaches and they see themselves that way. But one of the things I would recommend when you market yourself is that you don't even use the word coach. And you certainly don't say life coach. Life coach is a negative connotation to most people, and they don't know what a life coach does and what it is. And they don't give it a lot of respect typically. So people will think you're a jack of all trades and a master of none if you say you're a life coach. I don't even use the term coach. I speak to the problem that I solve for people, because all that matters is what problem I solve. My title is of no benefit to the people that I'm speaking to. And the word coach is often viewed with a negative connotation. When people think of the word coach, they think, oh, I have to do stuff I don't want to do. It's going to hurt, and I'm going to get yelled at. That's what they see on TV when they see sporting events and things. They see somebody yelling. Okay, so that's another reason why you want to have a niche. If you say life coach, they're like, oh, this person just is totally winging it. They don't have any specific they're not a master of anything. They're just dabbling, right? They're not taking it seriously. That's what the impression most people have. I would rather just avoid that than try to change it. Okay. The other reason is that they won't give you any referrals because they won't know where to file you in their brain as the person who solves a particular problem. So if you don't have that niche, right, then they won't know how to send you people. And we all know a mechanic, we all know an insurance agent, a hairdresser, a plumber, or someone along those lines. And we want them to think of you as the lifetime solution to the problem that you solve for people. That's what we want them to do. So we want to have a file that they put you in that file in their brain. It's very difficult. People will not create a new file in their brain for you. They're not going to do it. They're going to want to shove you into or miscategorize. If you don't categorize yourself, they will miscategorize you. So you want to direct that. This is one of the ways that we do it. Is we pick a niche and we fit you in a spot that they can easily file away for future reference later, either to send you referrals, or if they're not interested right now, they know where to go if they change their mind and become interested at some point. The other thing that happens if you don't have a niche is it also makes it much harder to enroll potential clients in your coaching because you can't prepare in advance on how to solve their problem because even you won't know what it is. So you're constantly going to be put on the spot. What I mean by that is you're going to constantly be trying to be in the moment, being brilliant spontaneously. And most of us are not very good at being spontaneously brilliant. So you'll be on your heels, you'll be defensive all the time trying to adjust to them because you don't really know where you're taking it, they don't really know where you're taking it, and you're not communicating a lot of certainty about, hey, here's what I can do for you, right? And then the other thing is when you're on these free sessions that you're going to eventually be doing after you generate a lead, you won't really know what the problem is. You're going to be on the spot. You're going to have to kind of wing it in that session, and you're not going to notice any patterns that come up with people. If you solve a particular problem, you're going to notice the patterns that are there, and you can almost, in a sense, read their mind because you'll have heard it all before. And it will help them to start to see you as an expert much faster as well. So those are all reasons why I would recommend that you go ahead and do the effort of creating and having a niche. Some people disagree with me on this. That's fine. You do what you feel is best. There's a reason why I'm going to do that. If I'm doing relationship coaching and I'm talking to someone and they say, hey, I'd really like to find a relationship, I'm going to ask them, what are your preferences? What are you looking for? Right? You expect them to give you some guidelines of what they're looking for, right? I'm looking for someone this age group. I'm looking for someone with these characteristics, these qualities, this type of interests and hobbies, etc. Maybe a certain background when it comes to having a common interest background. They're into working out or exercising or whatever. That's niching. That's what that is. It's not, well, I'm just looking for anybody that comes along. That's not what we would do, right? Same thing with restaurants, right? When you say, I want to go get something to eat, you probably go to the person that you're looking to go get something to eat with and say, what kind of food do you want? Right? And they're going to say, oh, we want Italian tonight, or we want Chinese food, or whatever, Thai, whatever it is they want. That's a niche, right? It's a certain kind of food you're in the mood for. So we think like this all the time. So let's talk about how to find a niche, since I've given you my case for why it's critical to have a niche. So this is going to require a couple of different steps, right? So you think about who is the identifiable community that you want to serve. Seth Godin calls it a tribe. Maybe it's women 35 and older, or it's men from 50 to 65, or it's real estate agents in Cleveland, whatever. It could be any number of things, but it has to be an identifiable and specific group. That's critical, but that way we can accurately predict within a fair amount of accuracy what stage of life they are in, so we can predict what's on their mind and what concerns and problems they have. And by the way, anyone who says life is unpredictable, it's not true. It's actually very predictable. When we have an idea of what your niche is, we can very accurately predict likely the kinds of problems that they are concerned about. Because life has a flow and it has a relatively predictable pattern. And we know this. So What's the identifiable community that you want to serve? We're looking for something that you can pinpoint. We can collect them all together, and we can get them kind of one mind, if you will. Yes, I know it's a little different for everybody. I've heard that a million times. I understand that it can be a little different for everybody, but there are patterns and there are trends. So that's what we're going to be looking for. What are the patterns and trends? What are the predictable things that they know is a problem? And so that's the first thing. What's the community that you would like to serve? Ideally is what we're looking for. If you don't know, then we can start with the problem that they already know they have. But let's say we've done this already. So you got the community, let's say, and it's, let's just say it's single moms, right, or something like that. So what is the problem that they already know they have that you can solve? And this is what they want, not what they need. That's one of the key things we have to do with coaching. Your coaching will be much more effective as far as enrolling people and working with you when we focus mostly on what people want and much less on what they actually need. They know they need to eat vegetables, but they don't want to do it, right? So we're here to help them get what they want, which may mean they'll do what they need, but that has to be a good reason to do what they need, and that is because it gets them what they want. So what is the problem they already know they have? I don't want to have to dig for a problem. I don't have their attention span long enough to dig for a problem they're not aware of already. This needs to be a problem they already think they have. It doesn't mean to be the deepest issue ever. It just needs to be on the path. It could be the entranceway to the deep issue. Okay? So we want to be thinking about that. So the problem that they already know they have, it's something that they want or something that they do not want, they want to avoid, that they know is a problem. It could be absence of having what they want, or it could be having something they don't want. Okay? And then you will give them what they need later when you're doing free sessions and stuff. Okay? After we've matured them here. But your coaching business is almost for certain going to help people in some kind of health, relationship, or money problem. So I would start in one of those areas if it was my recommendation. And by the way, on this niche piece, you don't need to know exactly what your niche is going to be today. You're not married to it for the rest of your coaching career. You can change it at any time, so don't allow yourself to get stuck here. A lot of coaches get stuck on niche because they're trying to be perfect. Okay, I changed my niche 1 year into my coaching business. I've made adjustments over the years as I've gone through things. Coaching a niche is like picking a niche is like dating. You date that niche until you don't want to date that niche anymore. And if you don't want to date that niche anymore, you simply break up with that niche and you start dating another niche. You're not married to it. You don't owe anything here. So don't overthink this. Don't try to be perfect. You're not going to be sure about a niche until you spend time coaching people in that niche. It's okay to have some inventory. It's okay to have a few things to consider. But I want you to have a couple of different niches to think about so you can get some coaching leads right away, and I can help you figure it out if you're working with me, or your coach can help you with that. But you want to pick something so you've got something to start with. And I want you to know you don't have to be perfect. This is something you can absolutely change later. But it will probably be somewhere in the area of health, relationships, or finances in my experience. A money problem, a relationship problem, a health problem. Usually it's somewhere in there, or it's closely related. So you can start with the problem that you like to solve and then go what community already knows they have that problem. You can do that. That's acceptable if you wish to. You definitely can do that if you want. That is not necessarily what I would recommend. I would recommend starting with a community. But you absolutely can take a problem and then go, well, who has this problem? And go from there. Okay, but this is critical. So you have to have this identifiable community you want to serve. And what problem do they already know they have? And there's really kind of a third piece that you want to think about. Maybe I should even put it in here. The third piece really is that problem painful enough that they would be willing to pay hundreds of dollars a month to solve it? Forgot to put that in here. Okay. So is that problem painful enough they would be willing to pay hundreds of dollars a month to solve it? This is a big deal because a lot of problems are just annoyances and they don't have enough leverage and pain to it that someone's actually going to hire a coach to solve it. What they'll do instead is they'll read a book, they'll watch YouTube videos, they'll try to check out the free stuff, whatever, to see if they can solve it on their own. Okay, they'll see how much little effort can I get away with. I was coaching a client once, and they were trying to get a client to hire them as their coach. And they were telling me about the problem. And I've been doing this long enough that a lot of times I can kind of tell what a potential coaching lead is thinking without talking to them. I can hear what you would tell me about them. I got a pretty good idea what's going through the mind of the prospect. But this was one of those situations. No one's foolproof, and I'm certainly not either. But I got a pretty good idea most of the time. So they were telling me about this potential coaching lead, and I said, "What's the problem that they think they have?" And they said, "Well, their sister doesn't like their life choices. Their sister makes fun of them and kind of criticizes them." And I said to the coach, I said, "What else have you got?" And they were a little surprised I said that. And through some questioning, we got kind of clear that the prospect had a couple of children that had just recently grown up and moved away, and they had been a single parent for a number of years. And so I deduced at that point and diagnosed that they were connection driven and significance driven, probably connection driven, and they were just missing out on all the sources of love. And so the sister being critical really kind of took significance and connection away, and it was really the tip of the iceberg. The deeper iceberg was that this person was missing out on so much love and connection that my feedback to the coach was, let the sister thing go, because even if they hired you to talk about their sister, they're only going to work with you for a session or two, if they do that at all. And I wouldn't even think they would do that at all. They just want to complain about it probably. But yeah, if you're going to help them find an intimate love interest relationship, now that's something that person would hire you to solve, as far as a problem that is painful enough they'd be willing to pay hundreds of dollars a month to solve it. Okay, so that's what we're looking for here. Is we're looking for what's the identifiable community you want to serve. Like I said, Seth Godin calls it a tribe. You can read more about that in some of his books. What's the problem they already know that they have that you can solve? Something that they already know that when you talk about it using the words that they have, we'll talk about that in a second, they instantly recognize, hey, this is what I need. This is the problem. This is it, right? You get me, you hit the nail on the head is the kind of thing you're going to hear. And they're going to give you an emotional reaction most of the time. They're going to start talking about this problem. They might even start getting agitated, thinking about how frustrating that problem is, or how that person's not following through, or whatever it is. This is good. You want them doing that because the free session and all this is an emotional experience. People make buying decisions based on emotion, and then they back it up and justify it with logic. So you want the person to be going through that problem and experiencing the pain from it. That's a good thing for them to be, and not because we like to torment people, but because then they're more likely to change. We've all had that person in our life that likes to complain, but they're not really ever willing to do anything to change the situation. We have to intensify that pain to where they're dissatisfied enough to change. So that's why we're talking about a problem they already know they have. You get one shot at this. If you don't quickly find a problem they already know that they have, which is why we pick a niche and be predictable, then they dismiss you maybe as not particularly valuable, and they're not going to revisit it again. They're only concerned about what they want, right? And then the next piece is that problem painful enough, or does it lead to a problem painful enough they'd be willing to pay hundreds of dollars a month to solve it, a significant amount of income? Are they willing to pay that fee to get that result? And if you're thinking, well, it's got to be money, no, it can be relationship. It can be an emotional problem for sure. Like I said, health, finances, relationships, anything related to those are usually pretty darn good ones to be looking at. Get the raise, get the promotion, start the business doing what you love, get out of the dead-end job, hate your boss, bring the love back into the relationship, attract your ideal partner, right? Get sexy, to get that partner, lose the weight, keep it off, right? Any of those things are all, great for, for an angle for a market. And of course, there are others. I can't cover every single one here, obviously, in this video. But I'd like you to do now is in the space here for identify your target market, go ahead and take some notes and pick one, at most two, possible niches for you. And then you can run that by your coach if you want to mastermind it with them. If that's me or if it's someone else, mastermind it with them and you can get some clarity. But follow this exercise and pick a niche, get something down right now so you've got someone in mind you can tailor your marketing to. You can pick more than one niche, but if you get 2 niches or 3 niches, I wouldn't recommend it because it just doubles or triples your marketing work, because you have to have a marketing message for every single niche that you do, because you can't market both at the same time to the same people. It will confuse. They're not going to know where to put you in their brain. It doesn't work real well, at least if you're doing it directly. So fill this out right now, okay? And if you haven't done it yet, go ahead and do it. What's the identifiable community you want to serve? And what's the problem they already know they have that you can solve? And is that problem painful enough? Do you believe that they'd be willing to pay hundreds of dollars a month to solve that problem? So please go ahead and do that now. Okay, now that you have picked your niche and you've put down a couple opportunities or a couple of niche possibilities for yourself or selected your niche, now we're ready for the next step in how to attract leads, and that is to complete the section fears, frustrations, and desires. We could even put in here addictions as well, fears, frustrations, and desires, and addictions, if you wish to. And this is to get clear on what your target market or niche wants to look at. And there's 6 things that we're going to categorize this in. This is going to be their most common fears, frustrations, and desires. We call them FFDs. Fears, frustrations, and desires. And their most intense fears, frustrations, and desires. So we have 6 categories: most common and most intense. Most common are what they sound like. They're common things you'll hear, but they may not have a lot of pain to them. They may not have a lot of leverage. They may just be a mild annoyance. Most intense could be so painful that a person might scream or something, or have very strong emotions about. Basically could run their life in some cases, right? It's an intense fear. So what we're looking for is looking at with each thing we're going to come up that is a problem in their mind. Is it what are the most common fears, frustrations, desires, the most intense fears, frustrations, and desires? And if you can get the sweet spot where a most common fear, frustration, or desire is also the most intense, that's pretty sweet if we can find that in your particular niche. But this is a critical exercise, because what I find a lot of coaches do, what I find a lot of business owners do, is they tend to hear the words that the potential prospect has about the problem, and they tend to translate those words into the words that the business owner wants to hear. So they will not necessarily hear what the market, the prospective client said, but they'll tell me what they heard. The business owner will tell me what they heard instead of what the prospect said. This is what the prospect says. This is not your interpretation of what the prospect says. And we're saying that because this is your marketing message. Like your marketing message is going to be the problems, most intense, most common fears, frustrations, and desires that your target market has. We're getting inside their brain here, and we are going to find out and walk around in their shoes, see the world from their perspective, and we're going to speak their language so effectively that they're going to hear us talk about this problem that they're having in their life, and they're going to go, oh my gosh, it's like you're psychic. It's like you know me. It's like you hit the nail on the head, right? That's what we're going for here. So you're going to put these down as if you're quoting the person. You're quoting your prospective client, your avatar, your niche, right? So that's what you're going to put down here. So what's their most common fear? right? We're gonna brainstorm it. This is a living document. This never ends. You're always going to be having conversations and adding things in here. But this is critical because this is the brain of your target market. So when it comes to whatever problem you're solving for them, what's their most common fears, right? So maybe it's health. What's their most common fears around exercising? Well, I'm afraid I'm going to go in the gym and people are going to be laughing at me because I'm a newbie. I don't know what I'm doing on the machines. I'm going to be a little overweight or something, and the people that are there and experienced are going to laugh at me. Most common fears maybe when starting a business could be a common fear could be that maybe people won't buy anything from me. Maybe my family will laugh at me and not take me seriously. Um, they'll think I'm one of those scam type things, right? So we're thinking out loud what some of these fears might be. If it's a relationship, it might be, hey, look, maybe I'm going to approach this person that I really am interested in, and they're not going to find me attractive. They're not going to want to get to know me anymore, any further, right? I'm going to get rejected in some way. I'm going to prospect my business, and people are going to laugh at me. That's what the kinds of things that are in people's minds possibly. So what's the most common fears? What are the most common frustrations? So some samples of a common frustration. Let's kind of mastermind that with me, if you would, okay? As we go through this. So some common frustrations, maybe in a relationship, might be, hey, the person that I'm in a relationship with, they don't listen to me, right? At work, maybe it's my boss never listens to my ideas. Right, they're always stealing my ideas. They don't know they have a favored employee and they never take me seriously. That person gets favored status and I get ignored. That could be a frustration. Maybe they haven't gotten a raise in 5 years and they're really frustrated, feeling like, hey, I do all this work and I don't even get acknowledged. Right? Those are some possible common frustrations. Maybe they're a business owner and they're frustrated because they have a great product, and for some reason they have a difficult time having people appreciate the product and purchase it. Maybe they're frustrated because they don't really know what to do to, bring in more revenue, or they feel like they've plateaued. Hey, I had success before and I can't seem to get back to that success maybe. Or maybe they're frustrated because they don't feel like they're fairly compensated for the energies that they've put forth into it. There's any number of things. They're having a hard time getting sales. Their team isn't taking action. They feel like they have to babysit, lecture, or reprimand their team to get their team to take action. Any of those could be possible. Frustrations. Maybe in the fitness side, frustration could be, hey, look, I've plateaued. I'm doing all the right things. I'm lifting the weights. I'm eating healthy, whatever, and I'm stuck at the same plateau. That could be one. It could be frustration because they can't seem to find the time to exercise, or maybe they gain the weight and they lose the weight, and they gain the weight and they lose the weight. They're kind of yo-yoing. Any number of things that it could be. On the relationship side, it could be, hey, look, I'm frustrated because I keep, going on dates and I just keep meeting losers, right? Or I'm frustrated because I can't find anybody who's loyal. I like somebody, they don't like me, or they like me, I don't like them. We can never be in the same place at the same time. Anyway, just thinking of some frustrations, and you want to quote them. Like, how would they say it? What words would they use? You can Google search things. Sometimes it's good to kind of do those kinds of things to get an idea. What people say. You can kind of see what they're searching for. I'm not necessarily coming from an SEO, search engine optimization place with this. The place I'm coming from is more of what words does your market use? As we all know, teenagers use different language than maybe their parents do, right? They're different generations. They tend to use different language, different slang, those kinds of things. And that's what we're doing. We're speaking the language of the prospect. What words do they use, right? So those are some common frustrations. Let's talk about maybe common desires. So, and some of these might be intense. And we're just masterminding this right now. And once you mastermind a few, then you can move them into whatever category you think that they fit. Most common desires might mean, hey, they want to travel, they want to be free, they want to be able to pick their own hours, they want to be able to, find the love of their life, find that soulmate. Maybe they want to have their pre-baby body back. Maybe they had a couple kids or something, and they want to get that pre-baby body back. Maybe they want to get that raise, get that promotion. They want to pay off their mom's house. They want to send their kids to college. They want to show the people that had faith in them maybe when they were coming up the ladder, and make them proud and do something to give back. Maybe they want to open more offices. They want to hit six-figure income, perhaps. Maybe they want to run a marathon. They want to get those six-pack abdominals. They want to, maybe they want to retire early. Any number of things. I hope I didn't repeat myself there, but any number of things that could be the case for them. They want to pick their own hours. They want to decide when they work, if they work at all. They want to be able to pick their vacations without having to be senior or have to ask for permission to do that. So those may be a number of things that a person desires. Maybe they want to contribute. They want to make a difference. They want their career to mean something, right? Maybe they want to make a difference for people in some way. They want to take care of disadvantaged folks, whatever it might be. So maybe there's some common ones there, some most intense ones. So go through as many as you can think of, and you can add intense ones, intense frustrations, intense desires, right? The feeling of being loved is an intense desire for a lot of people, or avoiding the pain of being rejected can be a pretty intense fear. Intense love can be a very intense desire. Freedom can be a very intense desire. I want to get out of this dead-end job, start a business doing what I love, can be a very intense desire. An intense frustration could be not being heard, not being seen. But how would they describe that? Hey, nobody listens to me. Hey, my parents don't understand me. Hey, I'm not acknowledged at work. Whatever it is, right? When it comes to fears, a lot of times, and when it comes to intensity, it might be something that I'm afraid I'm going to die alone. I'm afraid I won't be loved. Maybe I'm afraid I'm not enough. I'm afraid that I don't literally have what it takes to compete with other people. And I'm afraid I'm not going to have enough because I'm afraid I am not enough. Sometimes these things are kind of under the surface. They're things that are in their mind, but they don't like to look at, so they're not spoken. They're an unspoken fear, frustration, or desire. But you can mastermind on these again, and as you have conversations, keep adding things in. But this gives you a start. So start filling this in. Most common fears, frustrations, desires. Most intense fears, frustrations, and desires. And again, if you want to add addictions, you can add addictions. Sometimes people are addicted to significance. They're addicted to getting that raise. They're a workaholic, whatever. So they might have multiple relationships that haven't worked out, whatever. So you just gotta be you start filling this out and get some things in writing on it. Okay. So that's a key piece. So go ahead and start on that now. Do the best you can on your target markets, fear, frustrations, and desires, and we'll move on to the next section. Okay, now that we've gotten down some FFDs, fears, frustrations, and desires, we're going to move on to the section here. Next would be putting together your elevator speech, is what it's commonly referred to, is your elevator speech. I like to call it the buyers buy benefits briefing, but it is what you say when someone says to you, "What do you do?" What do you do? So now that you have your FFDs complete, that's the inventory you're going to take to use to create this. So what do you say when someone asks you, "What do you do?" You're going to get asked, "What do you do?" You're going to ask other people, "What do they do?" And what it's designed to do is to have someone answer you and reply to you saying something along the lines of, "How do you do that?" Right? Or, "I know someone who needs that." For example, with mine, I show business owners and salespeople, network marketing leaders as well, how to attract more clients faster and easier without feeling pushy or cold calling. That's one of mine. And that one commonly gets me an answer similar to "What do you do?" or "How do you do that?" So that creates the opportunity for a conversation where we can talk about scheduling a next step with them, maybe a referral appointment, which we are going to maybe go into this a little later as we go along in the journey here of lead generation. Offer a free sample strategy session, which is up an appointment if you're a coach here, right? If if you're in another business, it's going to be a sales presentation, right? And then follow this template in order to write your own elevator speech or buyers buy benefits briefing, which is typically what I kind of like refer to it as, but it's a little fun. So what we're looking for is, it starts with a template here. I help or I show. I tend to prefer I show. I show a specific prospect who, and then you describe the specific problem. Remember, we talked about a problem that they already know they have, right, earlier on in the niche section. A specific problem, and describe the problem better than they can in words that they have access to. So don't describe it in scientific terms. Describe it in the term or medical jargon, right? Describe it in the terms that a 10-year-old would be able to understand, the terms that they would be able to understand. The next step would be achieve or get a specific result. It could be reach. Achieve or get a specific result is great. And the next piece will be in or with or without. You're going to pick one. You're not going to do in or without when you say it to them. You're going to say in, or you're going to say with, or you're going to say without. If you noticed, I said without feeling pushy or cold calling, right? That's what I said. So it's going to be without that specific convenience or a problem they believe is the reason they don't already have the result. So I show or I help, and then that's going to be the community that you're probably going to be using. So I show, single moms. I show business owners. I show, small companies. I show whatever. Put that in there. And then what's the problem, right? Maybe they want to make more money, right? Whatever it is. They want to lose the weight. They want to run a marathon. They want to find the love of their life, right? And then what's the result that they, what's the result? What's the problem? What's the result? You can kind of do either one, depends on what you're focusing on, okay? And then if they're without, in with or without specific convenience could be when you ask them, oh, you have the weight, or oh, you're single, or that relationship didn't work out, or whatever. You could ask them, why do you believe you're single, for example, or why do you believe you have not been able to keep the weight off? And they're going to tell you right then, probably, this is a hypothetical conversation, okay, because you're talking to a niche or a community. When you talk to people, if you were to ask them, hey, why haven't you lost the weight? They're going to tell you the beliefs they have and the things that they believe would be a solution, and why in their mind or their story as to why they have not reached the result. They're going to tell you what they tell themselves. You're going to find out what beliefs they have. You're going to find out what their story is for that. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take whatever they would say and I'll put it in there. So, show them how to drop those stubborn 20 pounds without eating like a rabbit, living in the gym, right? Or getting bulky, whatever it might be, right? Because to them, they might go, well, I don't go to the gym because I don't have time. I have kids, right? That type of a thing. Well, I don't want to starve myself, or I don't like that. I want to make sure I eat healthy. I have people relying on me. Whatever it is, that's what you want to be clear on. And that's what I'm going to put there, right? For my particular community that I work with, they want to attract clients. And what they don't want to do is they don't want to feel pushy, like a used car salesman type of concept. I'm not knocking used car salesmen. I've trained many used car salesmen, but the concept of feeling kind of inauthentic or a little fake, right? They don't want to feel that way. They don't want to feel pushy, right? Like you're bothering people. And then the other thing they don't want to do is they don't want to cold call people. They don't want to contact people who are not interested in talking to them, right? They don't want to feel like they're pitching and telemarketing people in the middle of their dinner, trying to sell them a magazine subscription or whatever it is they're doing, right? So that's what my people tend to want to do. They want to attract the sale. They want to help and serve, but they don't want to do the cold calling thing. They don't want to feel pushy. That's what my people tend to be, the people I work with in my niche. So getting back to you, what is it for your people? And again, if you're coaching with me, we can talk about it. I got probably got a pretty darn good idea what it is. And I've got some sample ones on here too we can go through. But you want to take those fears, frustrations, and desires, and you're going to want to create your own what do you do? Your own what do you do template. So And if you have more than one niche, you want to create one for each niche. Okay, I work with a lot of people in starting a business, attracting clients, getting sales. I work with a ton of people in that area. I also work with people on finding their soulmate or attraction, increasing the attraction in their relationship and bringing love into their relationship. I've studied that extensively, so I bring a lot of value to that conversation as well. So I can definitely have those conversations from either the feminine energy perspective or the masculine energy perspective. And talking to a lot of women, they'll tell me, "Hey, Chris, you need to talk to my husband or my boyfriend or whatever." And with the guys, I can obviously help them a lot too. So anyway, point is that's two different niches. So I would have two different, I would have two different elevator speeches. Okay, I would not market both to the same people. So here's some examples of what some coaches might say here. And if you're not a coach and you're working in another industry or solar or something like that, that's okay, right? We could tweak this to you as well. But a business coaches might say something similar to, I show business owners who are spending too much time at work how to have laser focus so they can make more money and work as little as they want. Right? So you kind of get an idea what that is, right? Their problem is they're spending too much time at work, right? I want to make more money and I don't want to work all the time. I don't want to miss out on my social life. I want to be a decent parent maybe. Right? Maybe that's their concerns. They're working too many hours. So that's something a business coach might say, working with business people. A weight loss coach might say something like this. I show women or men, whatever they want to do, that are struggling to lose 20 pounds or more to actually stick to their diets and slim down to their sexiest weight. That might be an example of what a weight loss coach might say. Lose those stubborn 20 pounds, right, without eating like a rabbit, without living in the gym, without starving themselves, kind of a thing. Without coming off obsessed or without using cleanses. I mean, there's a number of things a person could say here. So you kind of pick what speaks to you. This is why we polish it up. A sales coach, which is kind of my background, might say something like this. I show high commission sales professionals that are struggling to make enough sales, streamline their sales techniques, and work more efficiently so they can double or triple their commission checks. So that's pretty solid. There's a few things that person that are up to their opinion they can kind of tweak in there, but bottom line is, right, make more sales, double triple the commission, right, and get less rejection type of thing. A parenting coach could say something like, I help parents that are at their wits end, again, which is a terminology a parent might say. That might be words a parent might use, right? I'm at my wits end. I don't know what else to do. Because their children are talking back, doing drugs, or hitting people, and teaching them what to say and do with their kids to turn their children into well-behaved people heading for successful lives, right? So that's an example. If someone's working with doing a parenting coach, a lot of times what may cause a parent to be frustrated is they can't get the behavior they want to get out of their children or the attitude they want to get out of their children. Those are some great pain points, right? Problems the person might have. They want their children to stop talking back, stop doing drugs, stop acting out, stop being violent, right? And be well behaved and be, they can bring joy to the family and less stress, kind of stuff, right? Dating coaches might say something like, I show single women that are having trouble finding and keeping a great man to become the kind of woman that is open to love and easily attract the man of their dreams. Okay, so something like that maybe, right? How to stop, how to filter out the weirdos or something. Maybe might be something I might say there. I hear a lot from a lot of women is, hey, there's no good guys left, right? So I might even throw something like that in there. I show single women that even if they think there's no good guys left, right, they're having trouble finding and keeping a great man. To find the man of their dreams, even if they think there's no good guys left. Like those kinds of things might be the kind of thing I would be playing with here. But these are just some samples and examples to give you an idea of some of the things that a person could do. I show single men that are having trouble with dating to discover what really attracts a great woman and overcome their insecurities so they can get all the dates they want with the kinds of women that they want. So maybe he's looking for a particular kind of woman. He wants a woman who is intelligent, has loyalty, whatever pieces that he might be looking for, right? are things that you can put in here. So it just gives you some examples. A leadership coach, I come across a lot of leadership coaches in my career. Might say something like, I help leaders and managers that are being pressured to squeeze more results out of their team, and I show them how to use personal coaching techniques with their team so they can double their productivity and profitability. So those are some examples you can kind of pull from. Some are going to click with you, some may not click with you. It's totally okay. I just wanted to give you some reference points here, and I've collected a few over the years. So next, as we go through here, we're going to go through a couple of key pieces that we're going to do in creating yours. So these types of buyers buy benefit briefings will get you clients because they identify a specific type of person and talk in specific ways that outperform speaking in generalities. So what we're going to do here is we're going to speak to the profile you're looking for. We're not going to speak to, I'm looking for someone who's interested in. I'm not going to say that because I don't want to say who's interested in, because then I'm communicating buyer intent. You never want to communicate buyer intent because they're going to hesitate, because they're going to go, well, I don't know if the person's interested or not, right? Or I don't know. So I want to talk more along the lines of, here's the profile. I'm looking for people that fit this profile, right? And a lot of coaches talk about getting to the next level and bridging the gap, and those all are really too vague. I'm not putting that in my elevator speech. They don't have any sizzle. They don't have any hook. No one sits there in their house and think, gosh, I just really wish I could get to the next level. That's not real. That's kind of a generic throwaway personal development term. So I'm not using something like that. I want to address their big problems and the emotional pains that these problems are causing them, because that's exactly what motivates people to take action and get help. In this case, your help. So this is a big, painful problem, right? And then you've also explained in a very concise way in 2 or 3 sentences. You really want to keep this super brief. And gosh, it's not one of the biggest things I hear. I hear elevator speeches all the time from people. I ask them, "What do you do?" And they'll go off from, explain to me for a minute about all the details about what they do, and it's very difficult to understand. And I know they're having a hard time getting clients because it's just too long and it's too drawn out, and a lot of wasted words, and there's nothing really interesting in what they're saying. It tends to be very analytical, or they're using industry jargon, or they're using, hey, I want to show you and impress you with how much I know, kind of thing, instead of just speaking plainly in the language that people understand what problem that they've got. So you've explained here in 2 or 3 sentences, a very concise way, how you work with people, and this way they can get what you do in a way that makes sense and isn't confusing. And also another thing you want to keep in mind is, I would not put coaching in here. If you notice, the examples don't even mention the word coaching. So if you're a coach, I wouldn't mention the word coaching, because people don't really care about your methodology and how you help them get a result. They just want the results. And coaching is not, like, nobody's interested in your coaching. They're interested in solving their problem. So don't complicate it by bringing in products or services yet. We're not there yet, first of all. This is about generating a lead and having someone have interest. They're not interested yet in coaching. They may never be interested in coaching per se, or buying a product. They're interested in solving their problems. So that's all we're talking about here, right? So anyway, that's what we're trying to do. So I'm not putting the coaching in there. I'm just talking results. I'm talking problems. And then the fourth point here is that you've talked about the specific results they want. That's the other thing that motivates people to purchase coaching or purchase your service product, is what's the pain? People want to avoid pain. They want to gain pleasure. So you can take on those examples and write your own buyers buy benefits briefing, or if you want to call it your elevator speech, totally cool. Write that here on the lines in the worksheet, and go ahead and do that now. And take a few minutes, pause this video, go ahead and write down a couple of 3 different versions, maybe. It's okay, of what you want to start with, and then polish it down from there. But what are you going to say when someone says, "What do you do?" Okay, now we're going to move to the tactics of how to generate leads. So the tactics of lead generation begin with a database. This is where you keep all your business contacts, as well as your personal ones as well. Your list is the backbone of your business. Without your list, you have no business. This is a critical component of your business. People are going to ask you how many people are on your list. You're going to be asking other people how many people are on your list. It starts with a database. So get your database as soon as possible. Now, I do not endorse any particular database. I have a list here of options I have picked up from people over the years that I've worked with and recommendations, and I'm always open to new ones, of course, or different ones. I do not endorse any particular database, but there are a few criteria that I personally feel it must have. You must be able to keep all your contacts in one place. I think that's a really important thing. You will have people fall through the cracks if they're kind of all over the place. You'll be able to keep detailed notes in each contact. You have to be able to do that. Be able to keep notes in each contact so you have access to important details for follow-up calls and for drip marketing, where you will keep in touch and deliver content over email or text message or social media, whatever you're going to be doing. Critical, right? If you don't have notes on the conversations you have, you also won't follow up with people personally because you'll forget, and it's going to be like, oh, then I'm not going to remember what we talked about. You're much less likely to follow up with them. So that's critical, keeping notes for each contact. Also, the ability to assign tasks to flag you on when to follow up with each contact is also critical. So otherwise, how are you going to know when you're supposed to follow up with Mary Jones or whoever? So if you rely on paper notes, you will miss out on sales because you're not going to go dig through those notes to determine who to follow up with. So it's likely just to disappear into the ether, right? It's just gone. It's like your breath in the wind, right? It's just bye-bye, right? And then if you're not following up with people, those opportunities are going to expire because opportunities are like dairy products. They have an expiration date, and if you don't use them before the expiration date, then they are going to be of no use. It will also be helpful for this to be online, or you have an online backup. I like using an online database, so if anything happens to my laptop, I wouldn't lose my database. And I also keep a literal backup drive in my office that I use to back up my system daily. So I would recommend you do that. The old saying is, if it's not in 3 places, then it doesn't exist. So if you use the cloud or some other whatever service, whatever you want to do, I like to have an actual literal backup drive as well. It makes me feel a little better to have something like that. So I've got backup here because it's definitely not something you want to lose. So be sure you have an online backup. And just on a side note, my recommendation on your backup would be that I pick April 1st to do this, but I would also make sure every April 1st for me, or whatever, on a regular basis, you make sure your backup is working. You make sure everything's working, you make sure everything's up to speed on it, that you can pull stuff off your backup and that it actually functions and is up to date. Because again, if something malfunctions, you're only going to know about it if your main system fails. And if your main system fails and your backup hasn't been doing anything for months, then you're really in a bad situation. So you want to be sure periodically, like I said, I do it April 1st, where I make sure not my database necessarily, but my entire backup system is working appropriately. That's just my thing, but that would be my recommendation. Next, it would also be helpful for you for having it allow you to email your entire database or just individual categories. You don't have to have that right away. Sometimes people will use an Excel thing or something like that to keep track of these things. I don't think you should do that because you can't easily access each individual contact and have it flag you and things like that. I would really recommend you actually get a database. Start filling it out from day one. If you don't do that, then you're less likely to do it later because now you're going to have a bunch of things to input. So here are some examples of databases out there. You can look them up yourself. You can do a search and see what you want to do. I personally use Salesforce right now. I have used a few different ones over the years, so pick or choose. And some of them are industry specific. So some of these may not apply to you, and the technology is always changing. So I don't know when you're going to be watching this video. So definitely check it out and see what may be available now compared to when this video was put together. So very critical. I do want to let you know, if you're thinking you might skip this, I would highly recommend you don't. And I'll tell you a story, if you will. I at one point I had another business. I was in the mortgage business for many years, several years ago, and I did not have the distinction of a database, so I kept everything in paper files. And what ended up happening was I never dug through my paper files to follow up with people because obviously it was kind of overwhelming. So they just kind of stacked up to a point. And what ended up happening was I followed up with a number of people that were clients of mine in that business, and they had all moved on to work with somebody else. And even though I knew the distinction, I'd heard the distinction of having a database, my original mentor told me, Chris, get a database. And I said, great idea, I'm going to do it. I didn't do it. And he said, Chris, get a database. And I said, great idea, I'm going to do it. I didn't do it. So about 4 years after I was told, get a database, okay, I went through this experience where I called these people up that I'd worked with, and they'd all move on to work with somebody else because I hadn't been keeping in touch with them, right? And I realized I did the math on it. I probably lost about $50,000 by not having those relationships, keeping up with those relationships. And that doesn't even count the referrals I could have gotten and things like that. So as you may imagine, I was pretty motivated at that point. I kept, grumbling to myself, $50,000, So what I did was I took an entire 3-day weekend. I got a database, and I just data entered everything into the database because I had had enough at that point. I wasn't going to lose any more business because I didn't have a database. So don't be like me, okay? You can be better than me. Go get a database. Start with something. It's so much easier to start with something than it is to try to put it all together later. I don't care if you've already got a bunch of people on your list. You can hire, someone to put them all in there for you. Whatever you got to do, but get your database working. So I would strongly suggest you take a moment now and you go research it, or you go select a database, a free trial, whatever you're going to do. You can always change it later. But the average person knows 250 people and 25 people just like them. So you've already got a database, even if you don't have customers or clients yet. You've got your social media network. You've got all these people. So start putting people in your database, and so you can market to them and build this up. Okay, so one of the keys to lead generation is systems. And you want to develop multiple lead generation systems. So what's the purpose of generating a lead for your business? Well, the purpose of generating a lead is to generate a lead. You are not trying to get them to hire you, your product, your service, your coaching, your whatever you're doing. Okay, you're not trying to hire them right now. All you're trying to do is generate a coaching lead, right? You're trying to find someone to raise their hand and say, hey, I want to find out more about that. Almost curious is where a lot of folks may start out. You're looking for people who know they have the problem you can solve. And one of the biggest mistakes many business owners make, coaches and people that I work with, is as soon as somebody wants more information about their product or their service or their coaching, they start telling them right away about how great their product is or how great their coaching is. And it goes into product pushing at that point. It's like going on a first date and asking them to marry you on the first date. It's too much, too soon, and it communicates you're all about you. It's client repellent. It really kind of just honestly telegraphs that you're not used to getting sales. You're not used to people buying from you. You're not good with this. It communicates very quickly a desperation. So we don't want to do that. What we want to do is we want to keep in mind the purpose of generating a coaching lead or a product lead, whatever you're selling, is to generate a lead. No more, no less. When you come across somebody and they reveal a problem, we want to avoid going right into what the solution is that we can do for them. What we want to do is we want to ask some questions on how does it impact your life? How does that impact your family? How does that impact your business? Whatever you're relating to. How does it impact your finances? How does it impact your schedule, your health, your children, whatever is going on with them, right? You cut the wound open a little bit, or you let the wound be open a little bit. You put a little lemon juice in there, not because you're trying to harm them and torture people. That's not what it's about. It's about helping them to get clear enough on the pain and dissatisfied enough they really understand the impact of the problem, so that they will be far more likely to change the problem. Um, it's a big deal. So it's kind of like maybe if someone's a drug addict or something, and you have an intervention, right? The intervention there is not to make the person feel bad. It's to them to see it's for them to see how their actions are impacting everybody. Okay, so they really get the depth of what's actually happening. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. We want to dig into what's the impact of that problem. Cool. So the other thing you want to do with lead generation is you want to think in combinations. The individual tactics woven together can create synergy, like a 1 + 1 = 3 or 1 + 1 = 300. That's what synergy means. And I believe having 3 or 4 lead generation systems that you consistently do every day to the point where you master them is the way to go when you start a business. You really want to have at least those core. Some will say you should have 15 or 16 lead generation strategies going on at once, and that's fine if you want to do that, but I would wait till after I'd mastered probably 3 or 4 primary ways, really, is what I would do. Think of it like you're sitting in a chair. If you ever tried to sit on a chair with 2 legs, you probably haven't. But if you did, you probably wouldn't feel very comfortable, trying to sit in that chair. Right? If it had 3 legs, like a stool, you may have sat on a 3-legged stool before, but you probably didn't feel real comfortable there either. You put your legs out to the side or something, afraid the thing's gonna, kind of split out from under you, right? I know for me, I'm a bigger fellow, so my size, 6'4", it's not, I'm not real comfortable with tiny chairs, right? So, but you get to that chair that maybe has 4 legs, or it's an easy chair or something. Well, then you might even lean back and go to sleep because you're absolutely comfortable. You're confident it's going to hold you, right? And that's why you want to have, in my opinion, 3 or 4 lead generations in your systems at once going at all times, because one might not be working that well that week. Another one may produce great results that week. And so it's critical that you really drown out the problem of not having enough leads by doing a lot of different things. It keeps things interesting as well. It's very easy to get kind of tired of something, right? It's kind of like eating oatmeal every morning or something. If you eat oatmeal every morning, you might eventually get to the point where you're like, gosh, the last thing I want to do is eat oatmeal today, right? So lead generation can be like that. You do want to do them until you master them and you overlearn them and you don't have to think about it anymore. Like every time I go do a lead generation strategy, every time I talk to a person, I already know in my mind what I'm going to want to do with them to take them through the sales process and to filter and have them qualify or disqualify themselves. I already know what I'm going to do. I may adapt it once I start talking to them, but I already have my plan. And that's what this is for. So you have a plan, which you're going to be doing with these people. So you can really focus on serving them, right? Because you don't have to worry about, well, am I going to get what I need? You're going to have that taken care of. So you can just focus on serving and really being with your prospect and just really being with them and listening to them deeply and really making a difference for them. So I would have 3 or 4 tactics at least. Nothing wrong with using 8 tactics or something. That's fine. You just don't want to divide your focus so much that you're doing 15 tactics badly. I would rather do 4 tactics well than 15 badly, right? So here are some tactics that you can weave together in order for you to create your lead generation system. And it's really important that you document this for yourself and you determine how much of each you're going to do. If you haven't seen the Track to Run On video, check out the Track to Run On video and the Daily Tracker video where I talk about how to make consistent money, because these will relate to that. You're going to track what tactics you do, and the Track to Run On is going to help you understand how much activity must I do in order to hit my income goal here so I can make my business succeed, right? So they all, kind of overlap a little bit here. They're all related. So here's some tactics that you can weave together to create your lead generation system. Just don't wing it, put them together. And the first one we talked about is a database. So you can do sequential marketing. You can write down, document how many times you'll touch each contact in your database with an email, postcard, text message, phone call, social media message, whatever it's going to be. And you've already heard my database story about how I lost $50,000 by not having a database. That's what it took for me to get my database together, and I've always had one ever since then. But that's a critical piece because that is kind of like that radar screen where in the movies or something where you have that big green round screen and the line going around it looking for the battleships is really your lead generation system looking to pull the people to you that know they have the problem that you solve. So that's what we're doing here. So have that database, get that database in place. And if I put the suggestions in there earlier. Okay. Another great one is if you have clients before, or even from another business, it's okay. It doesn't have to be from the same business you're in now. It could be from a previous life. But go back to those past clients. Ask for referrals at least. Get a video testimonial. I've got a few on my YouTube if you want to check them out. I got video testimonials on there. And you get them by asking. That's how you get them. So you ask, and some will say yes, and some may not, and some will say yes and not do it or whatever. And do your best you can to follow up with them within reason. Maybe you send out an email out or a text message out to the referral, and call and attempt to generate a lead. So if you get a referral from the past client, go ahead and call and see if you can set up a presentation with them or get referrals from them. A lot of times when that happens, I'll contact someone. I'll say something somewhat similar to, Bob referred me, right? I go, hey Mary, Bob referred me over to you, right? How do you know Bob? And she'll say, oh, Bob's our kids, went to Little League together, or, whatever it was. Bob's a great guy, he and I did this. And you spend, a couple of moments, maybe 30 seconds or so, whatever feels comfortable, connecting over how you each know Bob. And don't rush this. Like, the more they talk about how much they like Bob here, then the more rapport they're building with you. That's really what this is for. So they have rapport with you, and you kind of know, hey, this person passes the he really does know Bob test. I can trust him. If Bob trusts him and he's my friend, then he's a friend of mine, right? Any friend of Bob's is a friend of mine kind of concept. And then I'll say, hey, Bob, suggested I get in touch with you. I did a workshop, or I did a free coaching session, or I put solar panels on his house, whatever it is you're doing, life insurance, whatever it is. And he suggested I speak to you so that you might be interested in hearing about whatever the particular offer that you have. It's a free report, probably something like that, maybe a free session, just depends, and ask them if they would like that. So you get an opportunity to kind of get a feel for adding value. But going back to past clients is great because they may start back up with you, start working with you again. They may refer you. There might be a testimonial. They may even have a list of people that fit your target market, and you may be able to be interviewed to that list or something along those lines because they've worked with you. So that's a great resource. And not near enough people keep in touch with their past clients in my experience. I really would recommend you do that. It doesn't matter if you're in a different business now. It's not a big deal. So go back to past clients. We got that. Current clients. If you have current clients, offer to upgrade them or ask for referrals. Get back in touch with them. If they purchased from you, you're in solar or something, right? They purchased from you, great. Well, get back with them in 90 days or whatever, and ask them how they're liking things. Check in with them. Offer to upgrade them. Ask them for referrals. Again, ask them for a testimonial. Maybe do an open. In that case, I would be like, hey, maybe they can do an open house for you if they're real estate or solar panels or something like that. They can do something like that possibly and kind of get the word out to the neighborhood about how happy they are with how you helped them. If you're in more of a service-oriented thing, such as coaching, maybe you've got some clients that are with you 2 sessions a month, 2 calls a month, 2 communications, and maybe you could upgrade them to 4. But that won't happen if you don't ask. Okay, so you want to communicate with them. And the other nice thing about going to current clients is you may have a whole other program, a whole other product. And a lot of times you don't have to do a formal sales presentation with people in those situations to upgrade them to another program. right? So you may be able to just have a conversation with them about it, and then boom, they're buying another program from you. That's a really cool thing to do with current clients. Again, getting referrals, getting a testimonial. It's maybe you can be a guest speaker at their company, right? All of those are great things to don't hesitate to go to your current clients and try to improve their situation, okay, and try to make another sale to them, help them out further, because now you have rapport with them. They've gotten value out of what you've brought to them. That can be a big benefit. So don't hesitate to go to your current clients. Um, Okay, cool. Awesome. And in fact, you could even go to current clients of your company. Another way I've seen this done, like with financial advisors at times, is to go to a current clients of the company. Maybe their sales rep is gone, moved on to another company. You can say, hey, I'm the rep assigned to your account, and can I come in and do a plan review, make sure that you're on track, type of a thing. If you're a financial advisor or someone like that. So that's another piece to consider, as you're doing this. An example of this is kind of like The Secret. If you remember back in the day, the movie The Secret, Law of Attraction, the book, all that. Well, the individual who invented that didn't really have a funnel built for it. They only had if I remember correctly, it was the book and the video. Now it's been many years, so I may not remember 100% correctly. But what I do remember is I remember everybody and their brother had a Law of Attraction product in their funnel. Law of Attraction to attract your soulmate. Law of Attraction to lose the weight. Law of Attraction to get that raise, start that business, attract your ideal clients, whatever it was. Get your kids to do their homework, Law of Attraction, right? And everyone was basically hijacking that individual's funnel because they didn't have a funnel built. They didn't have a tree or a progression of products created in their funnel yet. So then other people, since they didn't have anything else to offer that particular idea, the individual who thought of it didn't have any more products to offer past the book and the video at the time. So everyone just took advantage of that, and they pulled them out of their funnel by using the law of attraction. And that's what happens if you get too far down this business place, especially if you're a coach or a thought leader or someone like that, is that people will want to purchase more. They'll want to get more advanced things, and if you're not offering it, they're going to get it from somebody else. So it's something to continue, and if we're working with you, we'll help you with this. It's something that you will continue to do, is build your funnel up. That's another great reason to work with current clients, because they may want more service, they may want to get it faster, whatever, than what you've done with them, and you're not offering it, or they don't know that you offer it, and so they go work with someone else and buy products from them. So key thing to keep in mind there. The other thing you can do here, it's a great one, is ask your sphere of influence or warm market for referrals. And I have a video called the Trojan Horse Technique. You can see the link there. Feel free to go check that video out. It goes into all the depth of that strategy. But basically it's email or text or connect in some way anyone who would recognize your name asking for referrals. So you'd ask them for referrals. Do not ask them to buy from you. And you can follow up in 24 hours with a phone call and ask for referrals using the script that's in that video. So I would do that. A couple of things that happen a lot that people do to screw this strategy up is, one, they tend to only send the message and not make the phone call. It doesn't work if you don't make the phone call. It's okay to send the email, and they may or may not get back with you, but you gotta follow up with the personal contact. Okay, that's really important. It's also really important to do because this is like your grand opening, and even if they're not interested in what you're doing, even for referrals, it's critical that people know what you're doing and you're able to effectively communicate with them. That's one reason why we're working together, or you're working with your coach. Especially if you're working with me, I'm going to make for darn sure that when you're communicating, at least as far as it's up to me, that you're clearly communicating what problem you solve for people, so they instantly know where to put you in their brain. And they will know where to categorize you, because again, if you don't categorize you, they will miscategorize you. So you got to follow up in 24 hours of that phone call, and then they now have a marker in their mind of when you started your business. And some people will be really kind of wait and see. They'll kind of be like, well, that sounds good, Susie, but okay, cool. That sounds like I hope that works out for you, kind of thing. They might be a little skeptical, like, well, let's see what happens, But if you don't do it now, then what happens is you start doing this strategy in 6 months, a year, 2 years. They're going to think you're brand new in 2 years when you've been a grizzled veteran at that point, right? And it may even be frustrating for you. But that's what happens when we don't reach out and start that relationship, and let them know what you are doing in a non-threatening way. That strategy is really good for it to be a non-threatening way. Next, we'll go to bills to buyers, because as I said, you could watch the video on the Trojan horse technique. So I would suggest you go and do that. Um, and don't hesitate to connect with them. If they're a business owner, you can do a referral meeting, which we'll talk more about here in the section on networking. Next is bills to buyers, or anyone that you spend money with is a great lead source for you. You can explain what your target market is and ask for referrals, and they will be nice because they are you're their customer, I should say. So they're going to be nice to you because you're spending money with them. So look through your bank statement, look through your QuickBooks, whatever you're using to keep track of where you spend your money, and make sure everyone you spend money with knows what you do, and ask them for referrals. This includes the owner or manager of your favorite restaurant, whoever does your hair, mechanic, real estate agent, grocery store, favorite, I mentioned favorite restaurant, anything where they're going to be seeing you. Go in, you can ask for the manager, ask for the owner, whatever. Say, hey, I just really appreciate your restaurant. I just really love coming here. Me and my family, we come here every month. We just really love your restaurant. Right? Let them make sure they have your business card. Maybe you can even put something at the front counter. I had a hairdresser I worked with, and I asked them if I could leave a box, kind of like you. I had a one-page free report offer, and I gave people an opportunity to fill out a form, drop it in a little shoebox kind of thing, and they could do that at the front desk. I asked them if it was okay if I did that. Right? And they said, of course, that I could. And I would just come in and get my hair cut, and I would come in and I would pick up all the leads out of that particular box and send them on my free report. So you never know what you can do, but you want to make sure that the people that you're spending money with, you may be able to create some kind of alliance, joint venture. Maybe they can interview you to their list. Maybe you could be a guest speaker. Maybe you're a gym. I know I've had clients do this effectively. They have a gym that they maybe go to, and they go and say, hey, look, this is a gym. I work with busy professionals, and I can help them grow their sales. Or I work with moms, and I can help them start a business doing something that they love. Or I'm here able to help them find, bring the love back into their intimate relationship or whatever. And they can give a speech at the gym after hours or whatever it is for the customers of that gym. And the benefit to the gym would be that, hey, we can promote this, and it gives us an advantage on the other gyms in the area that we're providing additional free value. The personal trainers could even offer free personal training sessions, right? Like one-time personal training sessions. So it's a win for everybody. You get leads, they get leads, and the clientele wins because they get additional value. So those are the kinds of things we're looking for. Who do you spend money with that you could create an alliance with, ask them for referrals that may share your customer? So you definitely want to execute on that strategy. Okay, one more thing before we move on to the next strategy. This is a lot of times when people start, we kind of go after the low-hanging fruit, or what happens is they maybe they reinvigorate themselves in their business and they're thinking about the low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit is great. And when we say low-hanging fruit, what we mean are kind of the quick people you can get a hold of, and you can maybe get a quick sale. There are people who you've been talking to before, express some interest. Your sphere of influence can be, kind of a low-hanging fruit concept. But here's the problem: is you have to do the entire lead generation system. Lead generation systems involve short-term lead generation strategies and long-term lead generation strategies. Okay, so you may have some that fit in both categories, but what people tend to do if they reinvigorate their business or they get started is they tend to only focus on the short-term lead generation strategies because they're trying to get a quick sale. You can do that, but keep in mind you can't go to that well very many times. Okay, so if you think about low-hanging fruit like a tree, right? If you go to an orange tree and you pick off all the oranges at the bottom of the tree because it's low-hanging fruit, right? And you go out there in a week again, there's not going to be any mature, ready to go oranges there, right? It's going to take time for those oranges to grow back. Okay, so you can't do low-hanging fruit every month. Okay, you're going to do the low-hanging fruit, and then you're going to have to do some long-term stuff, some of those types of things. The entire lead generation system. Okay, if you're only doing 2 or 3 tactics when you get desperate every other month because you had a good month and then you sat it out for a month and goofed around and then you got serious again the next month, or what I would call a Dow Jones salesperson, a person has one good month followed by 3 bad ones, right? Then you're not going to have that low-hanging fruit to go to. Okay, so just keep that in mind, that it's nothing wrong with going and doing that when you're starting, but you've got to take advantage of that momentum, because once it's gone, it's going to take some time for that low-hanging fruit to maybe come back, if at all. It may not come back at all if you're not doing the other lead generation strategies. So it's super critical that you understand that you're building on the bricks of what you do each day. Okay, hope that makes sense. Okay, great. Now we're going to go to networking. And networking is a phenomenal strategy. I'm going to explain this to you. Some of the distinctions of what I believe in around networking. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to networking events and ask for business cards. And a lot of people network, but they struggle to get leads from it. And but people, tell me, hey Chris, I've done networking, I didn't get any sales. Okay, so there are a couple things that people do that get in the way of them getting leads from networking. One thing they tend to do is they tend to go to networking events and they tend to give their sales presentation. And as you may know, like, nobody's there to hear our sales presentation. It's a networking group. It's not a sales training, sales presentation. Okay, so one thing they do is they tend to go to networking events, especially if they're in-person ones. And we can even do a social media strategy on this. But they go to networking events. They tend to latch onto one person and only talk to that person. You can't do that. If you do that, you're only going to get a very small percentage of what you could be getting. The other thing that they do is they tend to never get to know attendees one-on-one outside of the actual networking event. That is not going to work very well. So what people do is they'll do these 2 things I just mentioned, and they'll keep coming to that networking event every week, getting nothing out of it because they're really not cultivating the relationship outside of the networking event, which may sound counterintuitive a little bit based on the next thing I'm going to say, which is you are not at the networking event to develop relationships. You're not at the networking event to develop relationships. That is not why you're there. You are there to get business cards. Your goal is to get as many business cards as you can get. And if you're using public speaking as a marketing strategy, then your secondary goal is to find out who's in charge of scheduling guest speakers for that group so you can contact them and offer to have you be a guest speaker potentially. So that's what we're doing there. We're not there to chat a bunch of people up, find out about their, where they went to school and where they grew up and a bunch of stuff about that. That's not the time. The time there is to completely, that should be like speed dating, right? It should be like, boom, nice to meet you, 30 seconds, hello, nice to meet you, great, moving on, until you've gotten everyone at the networking event, because that's what we're there for. We're there to get as many business cards as we can get. I would set a goal of having at least half the room if it's a big event, and if it's not a big event, I'd have the goal of getting business cards for everyone in the room. Cool, so that's what you're there for. So how do you get the business cards, right? Hey, Chris, that sounds great. Well, how do I get business cards? Well, here's what I say. I would say, would you like to exchange business cards? Or you could say, do you have a business card? My favorite one is, would you like to exchange business cards? And they're always like, well, yes, I'd love to exchange business cards. That's what they say, right? They're going to say yes because that's what they are there for. They're there to make business contacts. I love business cards. They have all the person's information on there. They usually don't get stingy about their contact information. They got all their social media contacts on there. They got their phone, their cell. They've got their office phone. They got their kid's cell phone. Maybe they don't have that, but they've got everything on there, right? Email, you name it. They have any way to contact them on their business card. So all I got to do is have their business card, and now I can market to them. Or at least connect with them, to see about marketing to them. Okay. By the way, when I say that, don't take people's business cards, and then send them unsolicited emails. That is not cool. Like, do not do that. Okay, you probably already know that. I just want to point that out. We're there to get their information, but we're not there to just like send them messages. And I have heard people over the years complain to me about that. That's not what we do. We're going to build a relationship with this person. We're just not going to do it at the event. We're going to do it later. Okay, so now we have the business card, right? They gave you a business card. Now, if they don't have a business card, because sometimes they don't. You'd be surprised if you haven't done it before how many people are at a networking event that don't have business cards. And if that's the case, give them two of yours and ask them to write their name, phone number, and email address at a minimum, right, on the back of one of those business cards. I might even do their social media, Facebook, whichever one you, LinkedIn, whichever one you want to use, okay, on their on one of the business cards you give them, and give that business card back to you. So now they have your original business card and they have one that they've written on. You might want to keep a pen with you or something for that just to be safe. And now you've generated a lead. Now you have a lead. Congratulations. Now a lot of people that start a business or coaching or anything else doing networking, they'll say, well, Chris, I don't have any business cards. And I want you to know that I totally get that, because when I started I didn't have a business card yet either. Business cards are very inexpensive. You may want to consider getting some. Don't get too many. It's not that critical, because you're probably going to end up changing it and upgrading what you have on there pretty quickly as you get your business going and get a little deeper into these strategies anyway. But if you don't have a business card, it's totally okay to bring 3x5 index cards with your information on them that you write on there, and just use those. Nobody will care, but if you're worried about it, just tell them you're waiting for your new box of business cards if you want. I wouldn't even, I'd never even had to do that. I'd just be like, here you go, because they would just know, oh, no, well, they're in between business cards. No one thinks anything of that. No one goes, hey, wait a minute, you can't afford business cards, can you? They don't think that deeply. They don't care, right? So once you have the business card, then move on to the next person. If they try to corner you and give you their sales presentation, just tell them, talk to me in a couple days about supporting each other's business. Or would you be okay if we talk in a couple of days about supporting each other's business? Have a great day, and then just walk away. You don't wait for a response. You don't hesitate. You walk away. Is it rude? Absolutely not rude. They are breaking the rules. Okay? Nobody goes to a networking event to hear our sales presentation. It's moving too fast. Remember, the purpose of generating a lead is to generate a lead. That's all we are trying to do right now. Okay? So you have the business card. And if you want to talk to that person in the future, it goes in your left pocket. That is assuming that you have pockets. If not, figure out a different way. Okay, but left pocket are ones I'm keeping. If you do not want to talk to them again, then put it in your right pocket and throw it away when you get a chance. And I use that strategy because sometimes I'll hear somebody and they're like super negative maybe or something, and I'm just like, I don't want to talk to that person. Because I don't want to talk to a big negative person, right? You kind of get a feeling about that, right? So what I'll do, I'm probably not going to just throw it away in front of them or whatever, but I'm not, if I decide I don't want to engage with that person, what I don't want to do is I don't want to contact that lead later just to find out, oh, that's somebody who I really didn't want to talk to. I didn't see the value in it, right? So I put it in my right pocket and then I discard it when I get a chance, okay? Recycle, right? So when you get back to your office, now you left the networking event, you're going home, or wherever you're going, your office, you're going to meet a client, whatever. Anyway, when you get back to your office, the first thing you should do is put your new business cards in your database software. First thing you should do. This way you don't get a stack of dozens of business cards you met at a networking events that you don't even remember and you haven't called. And that's bad, because then you get embarrassed. It's been so long since you met them that your psychology will get messed up and you won't call them because you'll kind of think, well, they won't remember me. So then what do? Well, then what you do is you probably throw them out. And if you did this, then you just wasted all the effort that you took to get the business cards to begin with, and lots of future clients and leads and opportunities that you could have made a difference for those people. All because you had a breakdown in your strategy and a breakdown in your system. This is why I'm so detailed about these things. It doesn't mean you have to do these things exactly the way Chris says it. Your business is your business. I already have my business. I'm simply sharing with you things I've seen work, my experience working with clients. Take the best and leave the rest, okay? I'm not attached to whether you do the things I'm suggesting exactly or not. Do what you want with it, okay? But I am detailed because a lot of the people that I work with, like details. They at least want to know up to word for word, well, what would you do? And so I'll share it with you. That's why I'm so detailed. And then you can decide what speaks to you and what doesn't speak to you. That's your call. It doesn't. It's not something I'm going to. These are not like mandates for me. Okay, this is take the best and leave the rest. Okay, so this is why I'm detailed with that stuff, because everything has a reason. Everything I'm saying, there's a reason why I do it that way. Doesn't mean it's perfect or it's the only way. It's just one way that works. Okay, so it's also great to make a note of what the date is and any relevant information regarding that person or the event that would be memorable. And you do that in case, heaven forbid, you don't call the lead for a while. I once called a woman I met at a networking event, and she questioned me as to whether I was telling the truth that I met her at a networking event. So when I told her the date, what the topic of the meeting was, and the color of her dress that day, she was convinced I was telling the truth. She goes, oh, I do have that yellow dress, right? Well, so I proceeded to set an appointment with her because I passed her competency test. Okay, she thought it was a telemarketer or something. So again, I want to make a note of anything unusual. If we talked about something, I'll make a note of it so that I can remember when I do reach out to these folks. And you're going to want to do this right away, right? So now that you have your business cards in your database with relevant details, the next step is to call them right away. Yes, call them right away. I would call them immediately, but whatever you do, don't wait more than 24 hours to call them. Okay? These opportunities are like dairy products. They have expiration dates, and if you don't use the dairy product by the expiration date, you don't get to benefit from it. You got to throw it out, right? And that's what happens with opportunities. They will forget you, they won't remember it, so it's best to call them right away. Now, use your judgment here. If you go to an evening networking event and you don't get home till 10 p.m., I'm not calling people probably at 11 p.m., that I met at the networking event. It's probably not going to go over great. I'll call them the next day, right? But if I'm going to an 8 a.m. or a 7 a.m. or whatever networking event, noon lunch and learn thing or whatever, I'm calling those folks that same day because I'm going to be fresh in their mind, right? So call them up and we'll do the referral strategy we're going to talk about here. So let's cover if you haven't called them, because you may have a stack sitting here. You might be like, Chris, I got a stack sitting here that I haven't gotten back to. Okay, so let's talk about what do you say if you're calling an old business card? I would say 2 weeks or more. So here's what I would say to start a conversation with old cards from a long time ago. So let's say her name is Helen. So, hi, is this Helen? And they're going to say, hi, right? And I'm going to say, hi, Helen, my name is Chris. Helen, I apologize. I got your business card at a networking event a while back, and I meant to call you sooner. I'm so sorry it took me so long to get back with you. And she's going to say, well, no problem, Chris. That's totally okay, right? And then I would say, Helen, do you have a moment to speak? Right? And you could say it at the beginning and say, hi, my name is Chris, my name, your name, right? Do you have a brief moment to speak? You could say it then if you want to. I like to apologize about the business card, the networking event first, and then say, do you have a moment to speak? Why do you say, do you have a moment to speak? You don't have to. You could just go right into it, because when people can't talk to you, they'll just tell you they can't talk to you. They will. They'll stop you and be like, hey, I can't talk right now. That's up to you. My personal choice is I ask their name, Helen, do you have a moment to speak? Or do you have a brief moment to speak is usually what I'll say, right? And I say that because of a couple reasons. One, if I say, do you have a brief moment to speak, what ends up happening is I'm not telling them why I'm calling yet. And oftentimes curiosity will get the best of them. They want to know why I'm calling. And they'll be like, well, yeah, I got a minute. And they just give me permission to go into my script, so I'll go into the rest of the script there at that time. And if they can't talk and they say, no, I can't talk right now, I'm in the middle of a meeting, I'll say, okay, when would be a better time for me to call you back? And then they'll tell me, right? And I have not told them why I am calling yet. So there's still mystery there. There's something to human behavior about having a little mystery, a little bit of wondering, okay? So if I told them everything I was calling for, they wouldn't have a reason necessarily to pick up later. Versus if I'm calling them later, they're still kind of wondering why I was calling them. Did I win the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes or whatever, right? Kidding, of course. But that's why I do that. So I don't want to go into my pitch personally or my offer here, offering an appointment or whatever was what we're doing here. I'm not going to go into that unless I have permission from them, which is, yeah, I got a brief moment. What can I do for you or something? And then I have their permission. So that's what I'm going to do if it's an old business card. Okay. So we got that down. If it's a fresh business card on the phone call, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say something along these lines. Hi, Helen. This is Chris. I met you at the networking event this afternoon. I met you at the Chamber of Commerce meeting. You get the point of where I'm talking about. Do you have a brief moment to speak? She'll say, well, yeah, okay, yeah, Chris, I do. I'll say, great. Helen, do you accept referrals? Let me ask you a question, Helen. Do you accept referrals? She's going to say, well, of course I accept referrals. Absolutely, right? Yeah, I accept referrals. Like, why wouldn't they, right? And I'll say, great. I'm just quickly calling you to schedule a 20 to 30-minute referral appointment over the phone with you. On the session or on the appointment, right, you will share with me who your ideal client is and what a good referral is for you. Then I'll share with you what my ideal client is and what a good referral is for me. At the end of the call, if we both feel that it's a fit, we can discuss how we can help each other grow our businesses. Or each other's businesses, right? How do you feel about scheduling a brief 30-minute referral appointment? And then I'm silent until Helen speaks. Totally silent, okay? That's critical. So oftentimes they're going to say yes. That sounds good. This sounds I feel great about it, right? So you schedule the time, have a great day, send them your confirmation or whatever it's going to be. Okay, so let's go through why we say this here, just to make sure this is kind of sinking in on the why are you saying it this way, Chris? So I say, do you accept referrals? Because I want to get a yes. I want to pique their interest. These are business people. I don't know very many businesses that go, oh my gosh, new clients, sorry, I can't take on any more customers, I'm swamped. You don't hear that very often. I know I sure don't, right? Then I'm going to say exactly why I'm calling. I'm quickly calling you. I want to schedule a referral meeting with you. This is how long it's going to be, and we're going to do it over the phone. So she knows she doesn't have to go meet me for coffee, drive across town, sit and wait, trying to figure out which one of the people walking in the door is me, all that jazz, right? All that extra stuff. So this is on the phone. It's convenient, 20 minutes. So if it's not fun, it's over quickly, and you can move on with your life, right? Then I'm letting her know what's going to happen in the agenda of the meeting. And whenever you're doing a meeting, you want to give the agenda. You want to let people know what you're doing on the meeting. What's the purpose of this meeting? You're selling the benefits of the appointment. Okay, this isn't the benefit of working with you. This is the benefit of the appointment. That's what I'm literally doing here. I'm giving them the benefits of what we're going to do here and why they should invest 30 minutes with me for this appointment. So I'll let them know what the structure is. That lets them also know that I have an agenda, and everyone is annoyed by meetings with no agenda. You sit there and go, could this have been done in an email? Could it have been done in a memo or whatever, kind of a thing. So when you have an agenda, it lets someone know you're respecting their time, you're respecting your time, there's a purpose here, and you're clearly identifying what the outcome is. So, hey, you're going to share with me what your ideal client is and what a good referral is for you. So we're talking about you, Helen, first. She's going to be like, that sounds great. Talk about me. Right? Then I'll share with you what my ideal client is and what a good referral is for me. And then at the end of the call, if we both feel that it's a fit, we can discuss how we can help each other grow each other's businesses or grow our businesses. Right? So I'm letting her know there's not going to be a sales offer here, and I would not do a sales offer here. Okay? This is going to be can we create an alliance together? We'll see if we do it, if it's a fit. So there's no sales pitch, there's no pressure here. So she's likely going to be liking this. And then you go for the confirmation, you go for the commitment. How do you feel about scheduling a brief 30-minute referral appointment? I feel great about it. Great, you schedule the time, right? Now I want to point something out. If they don't want to meet with you over the phone, once in a while someone will say, I don't want to meet with you over the phone, I want to meet you in person. Once in a while I'll get that. So if that happens, what I would recommend that you do is I would recommend that you say to them something along the lines of, okay, that sounds good. I'll tell you what, how about we do 10 or 15 minutes over the phone first, and then if we both feel that it's a fit and it makes sense, then we can schedule a coffee meeting. We can schedule more time and meet in person. Sound fair or sound good? And most of the time, in my experience, people were willing to do that. I will just tell you, I'm doing this over the phone unless I've really got a strong reason to do this in person beyond just an average individual I would meet. There are many reasons for that, but it's very difficult to get away from a chatty Cathy or a chatty Charlie or whatever at a coffee shop or something. If they get going, it may feel kind of rude for a lot of people to get up and got to run. Um, all that, but it's much easier to be able to leave that conversation when it's over the phone. Plus, you're not burning gas, you're not burning time, you're not risking getting stood up by someone who maybe doesn't show up, or you're waiting for them because they're running late. All those things happen when you meet in person, so I would avoid that if at all possible, and it won't be much of an issue. Okay, great. So now we'll move to what do you say on the referral appointment, on the referral meeting? So you're going to connect on the referral meeting. Hi, Helen, how are you? Doing great. This is Chris calling for our referral appointment call. Thank you so much for taking the time to spend a few minutes with me on the phone. I really appreciate it. If you do have any referrals, I want you to know I will treat them with great care. This is how our call is going to go today. You will let me know what you do, what your target market is. You could say niche if you want, and who's a good referral for you. Then I will let you know what I do, what my target market is, and what a good referral for me is. At the end of the call, if we both feel it's a fit, we can talk about some ways we can help each other grow each other's business. Sound good? Now, I say sound good. Some people say fair enough. Some people say whatever. I never really like fair enough very much. It sounds a little mechanical to me. Sound good. I never had anyone really say anything other than yes to that, but do whatever speaks to you when it comes to that. But I'm letting them know, again, agenda for the call. Here's what the call is going to occur on the call. You can even let them know here when you say you'll let me know what you do. You could say you'll have 10 minutes. First 10 minutes, you'll let me know what you do, what your target market is, and who's a good referral for you. Then I will take 10 minutes and I'll let you know what I do, what my target market is, and what a good referral for me is. And then at the end of the call for 10 minutes, if we both feel it's a fit, we can talk about some ways we can help each other grow each other's business. You can give timelines in this because what that allows you to do is if things get a little out of control, if they're very social and talkative, which I tend to be, as I'm sure you're shocked to hear, what it allows you to do is be able to go, okay, you can interrupt Helen, right, when she's telling you, okay, Helen, sounds good. We got just FYI, we got 3 more minutes before for the next block, or 3 more minutes before I'll start sharing with you. So it kind of lets them know, okay, we were moving this along. You can always schedule more time. Okay, I just want to give you that as a guideline or an idea if you want to use it that way. So we're giving them an agenda of the meeting. We're acknowledging them sincerely for coming to the call because we you're not an island. We need other people to help us grow our businesses. And getting the right person can make a world of difference as far as referral partners. Anyway, moving along. So I'm going to ask them what they do in this appointment, what their target market is, and what would be a good referral for them. I want you to be clear that there's a couple of different outcomes that I have when I do these. My first outcome is to schedule a speaking opportunity. I'm always looking for, can this person get me in front of a speaking opportunity in front of my target market? The second outcome that I have is to get referrals. The third outcome I have is to schedule a sample coaching session if they're with me, right? If you're offering something else, it could be a consultation or whatever, right? But that's the order. One, speech. I'd rather have a speech than anything else. I can do a lot with a speech. A lot more than I can just with a referral. Referrals are awesome too, though. This is one of those opportunities where your top outcome is not go close a sale. Okay, I'm not saying that you can't do that. I'm just saying that's not my top outcome. My top outcome is speech 1. Is there opportunity here for that? Referral 2, and then possibly sales presentation or a free coaching session or whatever you're going to call whatever it is that you do. Okay, the presentation part. That's critical here. So that's what we're doing, and I want you to know, I'm giving you a guideline of what I'm doing here, but you have to use your own street smarts here. Okay, I go into the conversation with an idea of what I want to do with it, and then I'm going to feel out the relationship I have with the person, what their needs are, those kinds of things, and I may change it in the course of the conversation. So I cannot tell you like exactly what you have to do every time here. You're going to somewhat have to use your own judgment, your own intuition, your own street smarts, of course, here. But I just want to give you some guidelines and some kind of parameters to consider as you're going through, so you're not stumbling along in the dark. So this is what I'm here to do. Okay, I'm here to figure out what a problem they have is, and I'm here to find out what and that they know they've got, and maybe even uncover some they don't know. And I'm also here to see if, hey, can we create an alliance? Right? Is there a way I can work with them and we can support each other? So I'm going to ask them what they do, what their target market is, and what would be a good referral for them. I'd also recommend you have a list of questions you want to listen to answers for. So you may even ask them a number of these. What's your ideal client? What problem do they think that they have that you can solve? People can almost never answer those two questions very well, in my experience. So it creates an opportunity for me. Do you have any groups that you belong to? And the reasons you would ask that is so you can see if you could be a guest speaker for that group if it fits your target market. And that could be networking groups. Is normally what we're thinking of. Maybe it's a hobby group, common interest group, whatever. Women entrepreneurs group or something. That might be a great opportunity to be a speaker. Do you have a list of clients or leads that have opted into your database currently? If so, how many? Right. I want to know. Do they have a list? Do they have a database? Do they have customers? It's kind of like people have followers on Instagram or something. It's kind of like that, only these are people who actually said, hey, I want to be on your email list, your newsletter list, whatever, or have they sold to them before or not? I kind of want to know that so I have an idea of, is this a person I could have interview me to their list if they've got a list? Where are they in business? One other question I'll ask is, what are your goals or 3 things in your business that you want to accomplish in the next 3 months, or at least feel you're on your way to accomplishing them? This helps you to kind of point out, some need, right? Where do they need to change? What do they need to do better? And tell me more about that. And that helps you to turn them into specific, measurable, and time-bound goals. If you need help with that, you can check out my video that I did on what is your why. I talk extensively about what goals are. We're not going to get into that, obviously, because you can check that video out, and that will explain why you want to turn a goal into something specific, measurable, and time-bound. But I want them to let me know what it is that they want, so again, we can see where there may be some breakdowns, some ways you can maybe help them out. Listen for limiting beliefs. Listen for, especially if you're a coach and you're kind of familiar with this, listen for things they tell you that are limiting. Listen for them going, oh, I hate sales, or I hate the phone, or anything where they're letting you know that they think this is going to be difficult because they're not good at something, or it's going to be a challenge. If you're a coach and you're familiar with the 4 basic human needs of certainty, connection, variety, and I'm forgetting one, significance. So certainty, connection, significance, variety, those 4, and then Tony adds 2 more. Tony Robbins adds 2 more: growth and contribution, and spirituality. If you're familiar with those, you can listen for those too. How are they meeting those human needs? What's their main driving need? If you're not familiar with that, don't worry about it. If you're working with me, I can teach it to you, how to pick that stuff out if you feel interested in it. And it's not critical. It helps, but you can definitely be successful without it here, okay? So I'm looking at that. I'm looking at, okay, what limiting beliefs do they have? What do they think's in their way? What's predictable? What's happened in the past? And expose problems. The reason you're exposing problems is because this is how you will be adding value to them in this referral meeting. And when I expose a problem, again, what we're doing is we're going to leave them exposed. So I'm not going to go into how they can solve the problem. This is not a consultation, coaching session, sales presentation. This is a referral meeting, okay? So I am going to open the wound and I'm going to let it bleed. I am. I'm going to let them realize their head is bleeding. Obviously metaphorically, not literal. Their head is bleeding. Call 911, okay? Like, right? But I mean, metaphorically here, as far as there's a problem in their business. Let the problem sit. Let the problem sit there. Move on from it even. You don't need to address everything and go into depth on it right now. All we're doing is exposing problems, diagnosis, right? So that's what we're doing. And that's what I'm doing in this meeting. I want to find out information about them so I can determine, can we collaborate together? Do they have a list that they could interview me to? Right? Do they have a group that could let me be a guest speaker at? Do they have referrals that are in my target market? Because I know what their target market is now. Is there a way I could help them be more successful where I may offer them a sample session with me if I'm a coach, or a sales presentation if you're offering a different product or service? Do they possibly be a customer or have a need for that, right? If I'm selling life insurance, I may ask some questions about kind of their overall situation and their family. I'm not going to straight up go and say, do you have life insurance, probably at this point, because it is a referral meeting. It's not a sales presentation, but I want to see if they might fit that profile. So anyway, I'm going through that, and then I'm going to go into my turn, right? This is where I only need a couple of minutes for me to tell them what I'm looking for. So a good referral for me is you're going to give them the profile of what your niche is. If you haven't determined that, go watch the video that I did on how to pick your niche. But if you want to check that part here, a good referral is, and this is the profile you're looking for. I'm not going to put in there people who are interested in life insurance, or people that are interested in hiring a coach, or people that are interested in solar panels, or people who are interested in dating and finding a quality relationship. I'm not talking about that right now. Interested, I'm not saying interested. Interested communicates buyer intent, and it will reduce the amount of referrals you get, because people will start to expect that you're going to go to those people and say, well, Helen said you were interested, right? So I'm not going to use that word. I'm looking for people who fit a profile. So I'm going to let them know what my profile is, and say, when you think of a good referral, think of friends, family, coworkers, church, and other groups you belong to. Or in this case, it might be clients you have, vendors you work with, other offices of your company. In addition to yourself, other industries that I work in are network marketing, insurance, car sales, financial planning, and jewelry sales. I know, whatever it is. Okay, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give them that profile, right, of what I'm looking for, and other things you may work with. This is for getting referrals. So your target market, this is what we're talking about. So I might say a good referral for me is a sales manager with 6 or more salespeople anywhere in the world, or a sales manager, or network marketing leader, or coach or whatever with a sales team anywhere in the world, 6 or more people. That might be something that I would say there. So that's what you want to do. Good referral for me is give them the profile and say, when you think of a good referral, think of these people, because they're going to see pictures in their mind that go by, right? And then you can say, I will offer the referrals you provide me something free. Make this something free. A free report, a free consultation, a free a free video, whatever it's going to be. And if they say yes, you're going to tell them this. If they say yes, great. And if they say no, no problem. When it comes to referrals, if I'm calling a referral someone gave me, I'm very, very kind about it. I'm not going to go into objection handling on those kinds of things. I don't want to, I don't want to cause an issue for the person sending me a referral by any means. So I say that I will offer the referrals you provide me, a free report, a free consultation, a free workshop, a free video on, whatever the problem is, how to set your goals or whatever. If they say yes, great. If they say no, no problem. Of everyone you know, who would be the best referral for me? And then I'm silent. Okay, I'm going to collect all referrals before I go to that next step. Okay, so this is if you're, going for the referral. You could do the speech thing, what we've done already here. I'm trying to set a speech. Then I'm going for the referral. This is how I just did that, going for the referral. And then they give you the referral. Who else do you know? Why would you say that? You kind of get a little more information on each person, if you're able to, right? And then if you want to be bold, you can do a little bit further. You can say, Helen, I have one last favor to ask you. Thank you for the referrals you've helped me out with today. Would you be willing to give them a quick call or a quick email and let them know I'll be calling them? That's a great strategy. Hey, this is Helen. I referred you over to Karen, and she's going to talk to you, give you a call and talk to you about being a guest speaker for your network marketing team or whatever it's going to be, your real estate team. Cool. So they'll let you know. And by the way, if there are no referrals, then you can use your judgment to offer them a free consultation or a free report or a joint venture, invite to a business opportunity meeting, etc., whatever you're offering. I will say this, if you do have a referral that you're going to give them, okay, you don't have to give people referrals. They are used to not getting referrals. Most people stink at asking for referrals. They say, who do you know that could benefit from my product or service? Or they say the best compliment you could give me is a referral, blah, blah, blah. If you notice, they're not even actually asking for a referral. They're just telling you because they're so rejection conscious, they can't even directly ask. Okay? That's like a man going up to an attractive woman to ask her out and saying, I would like to take you out sometime. She's going to say, good to know. Because it's not a question. He didn't actually ask her. He just told her he'd like to ask her. That's not a question. Right? So that's what a lot of people do for referrals. They're not even asking for a referral. They're just saying, hey, I accept referrals. So my point is they're used to not getting referrals. So if you don't authentically feel like giving them a referral because you don't feel motivated to, because you don't think they're going to help or whatever it might be, because this is your reputation when you give someone one of your referrals, right? Then don't give them the referral. If you don't feel motivated to do that, don't give it to them. Okay? They're not going to think anything weird of it because they're used to not getting it. And if they said something to me about it, which I've never had anyone do, but if they said to me, well, why didn't you give me a referral, Chris? I would straight up tell them why I didn't give them a referral. I'd be like, yeah, you give me a referral because I didn't feel comfortable giving you a referral because of this. And then I'd say, would you like me to help you out with that? Right? Could I help you out with shoring that up so that if I'm thinking it, other people are probably thinking it, and if we shore it up together, right, then you could get a lot more referrals. What do you say we schedule a time, we go over that together? And I just scheduled a sample presentation with them or a sample coaching session with them, okay? Now, if you do want to give them a referral, which I've done many times in my career, I like to give people referrals if they can really help the person. I like to connect people. I think it's good just being a good person, right? So, I feel good about it. But if I am going to give them a referral, I give them the referral first. Then I ask for referrals. The reason I do that is because if I give them the referral and then I ask for referrals, there's a little part of them that's going to feel obligated to give me a referral. Right? And so if you're going to give it to them anyway, you might as well do it first, and then now they're going to feel the need to reciprocate. They're going to feel the desire to reciprocate to you. And it's not a force thing. It's that they're going to want to reciprocate to you. Okay? So let's say we've gone through any opportunities you have to be a speaker, or you've gone through any opportunities you have to give them ideas about how you could, they could interview you to their list. Right? I'm the guy who has to come up with all the ideas on that stuff. So if you want help with that, you can let me know or let your coach know. But I'm the person that always has to come up with the ideas on how we're going to work together. Hey, interview me to your list. Hey, have me be a guest speaker for your team, and and maybe I work out a split with them if there's anyone who purchases or whatever it's going to be, right? Depending on what your product and service is. But I'm the one who's always offering the ideas, so that's great. Like, we can mastermind on that together and come up with what your offer is going to be to that particular collaborator. But you're going to be the idea person. And that's good because that means you're more likely to actually get a moving forward opportunity that's going to work out best for you. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense. Now, let's say we've done all the, hey, is there a speaking opportunity for me? We've done all the, hey, do you have any referrals for me? And remember, their head is probably still bleeding, or it may still be bleeding from the earlier conversation when you found out that they had all these problems they couldn't answer. They couldn't tell you what their niche was. They couldn't tell you what their goals were, whatever it was. They're letting you know their problems. This might be the time where you offer them a consultation, free coaching session, sales presentation with you, whatever you want to call your discovery and come up with a program and ask for a commitment part. This is where I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it in a very invitation kind of way. People love to be invited to things, okay? So that's how I frame this. I would go, oh, how rude of me, Helen. I didn't think to ask you if that free thing right? The free session, the free whatever it was. I didn't think to ask you if it would be something you would be interested in, the free thing, right? So would it be something you'd be interested in for yourself, right? So like I might say, I'm gonna offer the people that we talk to, I'm gonna offer them a free session, a free coaching session with me. I might say to them, right? And then say, oh, how rude of me! I didn't think to ask you if a free coaching session would be something you'd be interested in to talk about. You're getting more certain on your niche, getting clearer on your goal, helping you get to that 20% increase in revenue this year. Would that free session be something you'd be interested in yourself? I've had many people over the years go, yes, I didn't think you wanted to do one for me, right? 'Cause I didn't offer it. So until I offered it, they thought I didn't want to do one, right? So I've had many people over the years accept that. In fact, I've had some people say, well, hey, Chris, since you're going to do one of these for like my team of people, don't you think you should do one with me first so that I'll have done it? So they're asking me at that point if I would do a sales presentation or a free session or speech or whatever for them. If I could work my magic, whatever, quote unquote, on their particular situation, which is great for all parties. So absolutely. This is very similar to like if I was having a party and I called you up and I said, hey, I'm going to have a party at my house next week, and we're going to have super famous bands. They're going to come in. We're going to have great entertainment. It's going to be like the Super Bowl halftime party or something, right? Do you know anybody who'd like to go? And you're probably going to be like, Chris, you are such a jerk. Yeah, I know Susie might want to go, Bob might want to go, Jose wants to go, whatever. But you're thinking, what a jerk that guy is. He's not even inviting me. He's asking me who wants to come, but he's not offering me. See, we've all had this experience, right? We like to be invited even if we don't want to go. But we like to be invited, don't we? So that's what we're doing here. We're going, hey, oh, I'm so sorry. How rude of me. I didn't think to invite you to my gathering where we're going to have world famous bands come and play, and everyone's going to be dancing and having a great time. Would that be something you'd be interested in coming to and joining as well? They're going to say, of course, I thought you'd never ask. Or at least some of them may. So that's the way I would ask that sales presentation out of a referral meeting if you're going to ask. It's an oh, by the way thing. So super low pressure. I'm not even going to try to convince them one way or the other. Okay, I really would not. If they say no, let it be a no and say no problem. So that is how you want to do networking and then going into a referral meeting. And you can do referral meetings for anybody that you know that's a business owner. They're great for that. Okay, next we'll do is public speaking. Public speaking is my favorite one. As I was mentioning before, you want to be doing one-on-one transactions. You want to be doing one-on-one communications, talking to warm, breathing human beings with real problems, because that's how you get deals done. That's how you actually help people and change lives. Broadcast marketing, like front of the room speeches, webinars, seminars, conference calls, potentially Zoom calls, whatever you're doing, Skype, whatever it is, free local talks, Facebook Lives, Facebook events, YouTube videos, whatever, Instagram, whatever you're currently doing at the time that is, as things open up, technology changes, and different versions and different specific applications of this will open up and have opened up. But you want to have a strategy for how much you are going to do this. So we'll talk about this for a second. So webinars, seminars, conference calls, local talks, free local talks, Facebook events. This is really my favorite strategy. I've been speaking since I was 8 years old in front of groups of people, and I've done it professionally, selling a program, and of course attracting coaching clients and the like. So people love to do business with experts, and public speakers are viewed as experts. In addition, you can get a lot of leads virtually instantly. I have outsold entire inside sales teams by myself by doing public speaking, not because I was so amazing or wonderful, but simply because it's a better strategy. It's just a great way to get phenomenal leverage. And you speak in front of 50 people, you got 50 sales presentations at once. In an hour, you've gotten 50 sales presentations at once, versus you have a salesperson that can only do 5 sales presentations a day. It's going to take them 10 days to equal the same amount of presentations that you just did in 1 hour. right? So it's a phenomenal strategy, and again, it's a great way to clone yourself. Like why am I doing a video like this? It's a great way for me to clone myself. It's a great way for me to be doing other things, making a difference in the world, and you can be watching this video at 3 o'clock in the morning if you want, and be consuming this and have me here to personally guide you through brainstorming ideas of how to generate leads in your business. And I don't actually have to be physically present here with you in your home or in your car or wherever, your office, wherever you're checking this stuff out. So it's a great way to clone yourself. So it's very important to do, and it also helps people to get an experience of the essence of who you are as well, without the pressure maybe of a one-on-one. Some people might feel pressure talking to you one-on-one, which is good at times, by the way. It can help drive people to deciding. But it's a critical way for you to create credibility. People always ask me, Chris, how do I create credibility? Particularly coaches ask me that a lot. I tell them this is one of the greatest ways to create credibility. Put out content that's going to make a difference to solve the problems of your target market. So we want to do that. You want to do it systematically, consistently. You want to go, how much am I going to do this, and which ways am I going to do it? I do want to point out, public speaking is a great short-term lead generation strategy and a long-term lead generation strategy, because you can give a speech tomorrow to a chamber of commerce or the sales organization down the street from you, whatever it is, networking event, and also at the same time, or in the same vein, if you will, you can create a video on YouTube or something that will be a great video to make a difference for people for maybe a decade, half a decade, or something like that. So it's great. So this is what you want to do with public speaking when it comes to this. Okay, you want to follow a script. Where do you find them? You find them where your target market or your niche hangs out. Okay, so where do they hang out? What websites do they visit? All that kind of stuff. And I want to be able to find them, add value. So if it's Facebook and things like that, great. What groups are they hanging out in? I want to be able to create content, post that content in there, stuff like that. So you can do this locally. It can be events you create. You can go and do community college or something, or you can go and get a small room at a hotel or something, in one of those hotel conference rooms, and you can drive people to it. You can do any number of ways. Maybe you do once a week public speaking in businesses or business groups. Meetups are a great. Meetup, if you're doing meetup.com or something like that, it's phenomenal. Create your own meetup group. I've had clients be successful creating their own meetup groups as well, and you go and you lead a group of people on a regular basis. So go out, speak to teams, go out to speak to people that fit your target market. Guys, gals, everybody. There's always any niche we can find where people hang out, and go and give in-person free local talks is a really great strategy. I've done a lot of my career, and also virtually, because we have the technology. We can do them over the computer or over our phone, and you can talk to hundreds of people as well. So how I would be looking at it is I'd be looking at it, okay, I want to do public speaking. I'm going to get a script. I've got templates for this type of stuff, so it can be sales, because it's not just I can get in front of a group and speak. Okay, that's just part of it. The other part of it is being persuasive and having the correct words and practicing the words, so you're a pro public speaker that is able to sell from the front of the room. Those are the kind of things I can teach you, I can help you with, or your coach can teach you and help you with, because we've got the systems to do that. And that's what you want. One of the main things that you'll want to do. It's a great way to get your business out there. So I'd be looking to give a speech once a week. I'd be looking to do a webinar or some kind of Facebook Live or some kind of event marketing once or twice a month. And you can even do small, little videos as well if you want to, little quotes or quick little thoughts for the days, minute or less or something on social media. And then as you advance further, you can create search engine optimized content for all Google and YouTube and all of the whatever's current, the time you're watching this video, the current ways people are accessing video content. You can find out what people are searching for, create content that's specific to that, and deliver that high quality content. It doesn't take a lot of money to be able to deliver at this point high quality video content for as far as looks and audio and all of that. It doesn't take a lot of money to do that. It does take patience because it's a long-term strategy, and if you're doing YouTube videos or blogging and things like this, it doesn't happen overnight. You're not going to get a bunch of money overnight usually from those things. Public speaking, you can get, if you're doing front of the room speeches, you can get clients in business right away. I will say though that if you decide to go and contact, businesses, for example, I used to do a lot of this. I'd contact businesses. Then there's a learning curve. There is a time frame when you start before you actually go out and give speeches. So there's maybe a 6-week gap between when you start doing that and before you're actually probably getting paid, because it takes a month to maybe set the first few speeches. They're a month away, I should say, when you set them, and then you go give the speech, and then you do the sales presentations for the leads a week later, and then a week later the people hire you, or whoever is going to hire you out of it. But this needs to be a part of what you're doing. If you're concerned about how you look, don't. Nobody cares. Nobody cares what you look like, okay? In fact, they might like it because they look like you. If you feel like you're not as attractive as you might want to be, or you don't like the way your mouth looks, or whatever it is, nobody really cares what we look like. What they care about is the content, what I want to hear. I mean, beyond the basic stuff, like hygiene and, looking like you actually do care a little bit about being a professional. But for the most part, like you don't want to, do a video with a shirt that looks like you pulled it out of the clothes hamper and it's totally, wrinkled up or something that's distracting, like that kind of stuff. But people are doing videos and public speaking in their car, they're driving, it all depends on what your market's going to have. But this is something that should be a part of your regular lead generation system. It would be a backbone of what I would do. If I were you, I would recommend that. So get with me. I can help you with that if you're coaching with me, or if you're working with your coach. Get with them, and we can provide content and support to help you to do this strategy effectively, both online and offline. I'm going to do both because it's a good long-term and a good short-term strategy, and it's a fast way to grow a business, especially if you're doing the offline stuff and doing public speaking. It can be a very fast way to grow your business as well. So highly recommend that. Next is a free report. Offer a free report. You want to have an incentive that you can give people in exchange for their contact information, whether that's a consultation or a strategy session with you. That's more of an appointment probably, but you may want to have some kind of free information that they would highly value. When I first got started, I created one on how to use the phone, and it was how to overcome call reluctance, which wasn't a very good title, but I started with that. I had it on the back of my business card, and people would contact me, I would contact them, and I would be able to get their contact information in exchange for this written. It was a written free report. The purpose of that is just to get them to give you their contact information. Don't expect them to actually read the report. They very rarely do. If it's video or something like that, because I converted the report into video eventually, then that's great. You may have more of a chance of them consuming it because you have audio there. You may have captioning, and you may also have the video, actual visual. So people can be driving and hear you maybe, or they're at the gym working out and they can hear you. All that is good stuff. Podcasts and all those things are helpful. So offer something that's valuable information your target market really wants to know the answer to, right? And then you can even just write the title of it and give it away, right? Just create the headline, create the title, and start telling people about it. And then when people start wanting it from you, then you'll go ahead and write it. Don't overthink it. Put the best content you can think of. We'll put a marketing title on it, and you can give it away in exchange for contact information. If you want to, you can put a call to action at the end. Just be aware, most people are not going to read this. Most people are not going to go into a lot of depth on it. They might read the first couple three paragraphs or watch the first couple minutes. I would have zero expectations about that. A lot of people that I'll work with, they'll go create a free report or some kind of free content, and they'll just make it really long, and it probably doesn't need to be that long, especially for something they're trying out with a market. Most of the stuff with my market, I've done a lot of research and talked to many people, so I got a pretty good idea that that's what my market wants, and I do the data research to find out. But if you're not real sure yet, keep it short. The purpose of it is to get their contact information, give them some decent content, high-level content, the most that you have, of course, that maybe even if it could just be researching the answer to the question that they have because they're too lazy to do it. That's totally okay and maybe a great way to get that process going. So once you have given this away to people and they say, yeah, I want your free report, if you haven't written it or you haven't put it together yet, now you'll have great incentive to go ahead and put it together. Then what you do is you contact them and you offer them an appointment. You offer them a sales presentation, a free coaching session, free consultation, whatever the name of it that you're going to put together is going to be, which if you're working with me, we'll put a name on it and make it nice and marketing and fun, but be benefit oriented and the like. But that's now, once you've generated a lead, then you would go and you would contact them and offer an appointment. So you could ask them, hey, did you get my free report? Yes, I did. No, I didn't. Great. One of the benefits of requesting the free report from me is a free income accelerator strategy session, whatever you want to call it. And you're going to go ahead and give them your free consultation, schedule that appointment with them. Here's the benefits of doing it, right? You let them know what the benefits of doing it. Ask them if they'd like to schedule their free consultation, free coaching session, whatever, with you. Great way to get an appointment. I've done this with a lot of different things, whether it's personality profiles, whether it's information on generating leads, information on anything salespeople have had problems with. I've done. It can be anything your target market's going to want to know. Okay, so we can work on that, but give them something cool away. Give your best stuff away. Get them to contact you, and then you can really add value by getting them to talk to you one-on-one. Cool. So offer free report, squeeze page online, whatever. But this is just to start your process of putting out free high-value content. People will definitely be paying attention to the high-value free content you put out. And this is one of the ways you get people to just call you up out of the blue. Everyone says, Chris, I want people to call me up out of the blue and want to hire me or buy my product. This is how you do that, is you create a lot of high-quality content that's exactly what your target market wants to know, and you create a ton of it, and you put it out, and you just get better and better, and you become a machine around it. It's a long-term strategy. You're likely not to get a bunch of people to go and do all that right away, but having a free report to give away is quick. It's a great way to generate a lead. Then you call them up and offer them a sales presentation, offer them a consultation as one of the benefits of requesting their free report. Then you know they're already interested in the topic, and it gives you a conversation point to start that sales presentation on. So great. Offer a free report, offline and online. Again, it can be video, whatever it might be. So it doesn't have to be paper. It can be literally any format. It's just having an incentive to give people. Great. And then have a system to ask and get referrals. This is critical. If you don't have a system for when and how you will ask for referrals in your sales process and sales scripting to support it, you won't get referrals. If you don't get referrals, your business will never be primarily by referral only. And you really want to have your business be primarily from referrals. So in order to do that, you have to look at your sales process, your actual sales funnel, your actual pipeline, if you will. And from the time you generate the lead all the way to the very end of your relationship with that individual, and map out, when am I going to ask for referrals? A lot of people think, well, you can't ask for referrals until someone becomes a paying customer. And that's not true. You can ask for referrals whenever there's rapport. All it really takes is for someone to like you, and you can ask for referrals. It's always nice if they have a deeper level of appreciation for you. Cool. But ask for the referrals, ask it systematically, have a script, know when you're going to do it. When I was in the mortgage business, I knew that the time to ask for referrals best was at the closing of the loan transaction, or right before the closing of the loan transaction. And the reason why was because that person still needed something from me. They still wanted to get their package accomplished, if you will. After that, it became more difficult because they didn't have anything where they had no real reason to send it to me at that point, if you will, or give me a referral at that point. So it was more difficult. So look for times and places when you may ask for referrals. You can create an incentive to ask for referrals. Maybe you do a drawing for a Starbucks card or something, or some kind of giveaway in exchange for the person who has the most referrals. So you want to have a system for that. We not going to go into every piece of step on that on today, of course, in here. We'll have more content on it and more specifics. But you want to have a system to ask for and get referrals. When are you going to ask? What are you going to say? Good referral for me is, right? one of my favorite things, in general to say, if you watch the video on Trojan horse technique, I talk about this, is as you probably know, I work with referrals. A good referral for me is, and then the target profile, what you're looking for, and then your niche, basically your community, right? And then when you think of a good referral, think of friends, family, coworkers, church, or any other groups you belong to. And you pause, and then you say, of everyone you know, who's the best referral for me? So that's an example of and you be silent till they answer you. That's an example of a script to ask for referrals. And that script works very well, and then you can even provide an incentive for them to give you referrals. But when are you going to ask? Right? As soon as they're happy and got value, I would ask. As soon as someone says to you, gosh, you're so really good at what you do, thank you so much, I really appreciate you doing that for me. Great opportunity to ask for referrals, right? Anytime someone you're working with compliments you or shows any kind of gratefulness, it's a great opportunity to ask them for referrals. And too many people sit back and go, oh, it was nothing. No, they thank you very much. I appreciate that. And then, as you probably know, I work with referrals. A good referral for me is this profile person. When you think of a good referral, think of friends, family, coworkers, church, or any other groups you belong to. Of everyone you know, who's the best referral for me? Right? So you want to set that up. After the transaction closes, maybe you contact them 3 months later, 6 months later, ask them for referrals, right? You want to keep this process going. So it's critical that you ask. If you notice on the daily tracker I talk about in that video, there's a section on there for referrals. So it's a big deal to ask. A lot of people don't ask, so they don't get them. But hopefully that will help you to add in here, when am I going to ask for referrals in my sales process? And I just gave you a basic script you can use for that to tweak. Cool. Next is VIP, which is a very influential person. And that is, everyone has a network. You have a network, I have a network, everyone you meet has a network. So a VIP is a person who has a large network where a percentage of that network is your target market. So you want to contact them and influence them to send you referrals or to promote you. So I would use referral appointments for this, right? Or I would use my relationship, contact them and say, hey, look, I got this webinar I'm doing next week. Would you let everybody on your list know about it? Will you put it on your social media and let people know about it? That's an example of someone who has a network where a percentage of their network is your target market, and you can ask them to promote you or send you referrals. So don't hesitate to use that. People like to help you. And another one is top-down selling. This is another way of describing a VIP relationship. You can influence the VIP to refer you, recommend you, or endorse you to their network. It's a great way to go into companies and maybe go down. So you talk to the boss. When I do a free local talk strategy and I'm talking to the district manager of a major real estate corporation or something, I'm talking to them about giving speeches at their quarterly meeting or at individual offices or something like that. That is top-down selling. I'm connecting to the decision maker and asking them to let me sell to their employees, right? And then there's climb the ladder selling, and this is where you know someone who knows the VIP, and you get the person you know who knows the VIP to refer you to that VIP. So this is when I would say, hey, I know Mary is a real estate agent, or Mary is the VIP over at the bank, right? She's the branch manager, she's the regional manager, whatever, and you go to them, right? Or they know someone who is that person. You go to them and say, hey, can you get me into the VIP, and let them know what I'm doing. Again, this is another reason why you want to have free content, because then people can review your content without you having to be there. It's a great way for them to kind of check you out. A lot of times if you're contacting a company or an organization and you're saying, hey, let me be a guest speaker, sometimes they're going to want to see, hey, send me some information. It's a great way to have some information, have some videos, things like that you can give them so they can get an idea of your essence. But this is someone who's going to let you get in and kind of warm hand you off to the decision maker for the speeches, or the decision maker for getting referrals from an organization. Okay, so you may get in directly, or you may get in with someone who knows a guy, kind of a thing. Okay, so that way you're going from the bottom to the top. Number 11 is top to the bottom. You can do it either way, right? I would always do one of these before I would, let's say, cold call an organization and offer to be a guest speaker. because you're always much easier get in there if you're doing it through a relationship that is already there. And the reason why you want to work your warm market and your sphere of influence, they're the same thing, but people use different terms for sphere of influence and warm market. Next is to recycle leads. This is critical, especially if you're selling a product. If you're a coach, this can be a little bit tricky. If you're selling a product, it's great. This means you call a lead every 90 days with the same offer, especially if they were interested before and asked you to follow up in the future. So what's going to happen is you may talk to, Mary, and she's interested in, selling her house or buying the solar or, getting the vehicle or whatever, right? Business opportunity, whatever it is, and hiring a health coach, whatever. So what I'm going to do, she says, hey, I'm interested, but now's not the time. Can you get back with me in 2 months, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in my database, and I'm going to, if I'm you, I'm going to notate when she said, to get back with her. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get back with them in half the time they told me. So if someone tells me, Chris, call me back in 2 months, I would get back to them in a month. I would not wait that long. Worst case scenario, you keep them warm and have a nice, 5-minute conversation. Check in with them. How's everything going? Are we still on track? Great. Check in with you in a month. Keeps the fire warm. With recycling leads, that's just a default position you're going to do. You're just going to go through. This is what I would do if you were new, and especially if you're selling a product. I would go through every 90 days, contacting these people, individuals, and making the same offer, because a lot of times people don't purchase because they have something in the way at that time. And if you keep in touch with them, you're providing high valued content, then when things are right, they've already got that relationship with you, and they're much more likely to move forward. But you have to keep in touch with them, or someone else will take advantage of it when they're ready. Okay, so recycle the leads, mean you contact them every 90 days or whatever time frame you want, make the same offer, do a follow-up with them. Reciprocal referral relationship, this is where you find someone that you can refer business to and then can refer business back to you. So a real estate agent and an insurance agent, maybe a Starbucks and a Barnes and Noble. Most grocery stores have some kind of coffee, Starbucks in there or something like that. And that's what you're looking for. So if I'm doing solar or something like that, I may be looking for working with contractors. For example, home remodelers and contractors. Those are the kinds of things you're looking at, right? Who shares my customer, right? So if I'm a health coach, I might work with some personal trainers, right? If I'm working on from a standpoint of helping people start businesses, right? I'm going to look for the kinds of relationships where I may be able to find people who know a lot of people that are in jobs there's a lot of dissatisfaction or high stress careers kind of a thing, maybe high level corporate executives kind of stuff, because a lot of those folks get to a point where they're like, hey, you know what, I want to get out of this corporate environment, I want to go start my own thing, I'm pretty accomplished, right? So I want to be able to create alliances that way. So anyone who shares your customer, you can create a reciprocal referral relationship where they send referrals to you and you send referrals to them, right? Maybe you're a mortgage rep and you can have or a real estate agent, and you can have someone who does credit repair, for example. You could work with a customer and they don't qualify because of credit. You send them over to the person who does credit repair, right? And they get the credit back up to track and back on track and send them back over to you in real estate or mortgage or whatever it might be. And now you're able to do the transaction, and the client's grateful, the credit repair person is grateful, and now you're sending referrals back to each other. I mean, that's a sweet gig. If you get a few of those people going, and it makes things a lot easier. So set a goal maybe to have 10 people that you're doing this with, where you have a reciprocal referral relationship back and forth. It doesn't always have to be back and forth. It's just nice if it is. You can have somebody where you definitely make it one way. It's not the end of the world to do that. Cool. So reciprocal referral relationship. You can purchase leads. I'm not a big fan of purchasing leads in general. I feel like people that purchase leads, it's usually a situation where they are selling them to a lot of people, and if they're telling you that they're not. And even if they're not, the other issue is you have to get a certain amount of sales to get your investment back. And I always wonder, like, if the leads are that great, then why aren't they using them themselves? The other thing I'd like to point out on this is that if you're purchasing leads, I would suggest you're better off working on the other stuff we talked about in this video so that you can become a lead generation machine and you're not dependent on this organization giving you leads that you're purchasing. The world is your oyster when you can generate your own leads. Okay, so it's better, in my opinion, to put energy into that. If I am going to purchase leads, it's generally going to be something where I'm contacting organizations for setting up speeches, maybe businesses, and I can go to a Reference USA or an Info USA, some kind of service that can provide profiles and who's the business owner and stuff like that. And I can get a list of those to contact regionally for me to go in and give speeches to organizations. So I can get a list of 5,000 names from Reference USA at the library or at the local university maybe that you graduated from or something, and they've usually got some kind of Reference USA service because they don't offer that to individuals anymore, I don't believe. You can do it through a library or a university you may have been an alumni of. And you can download lists of people that you could, businesses that you may be able to create and give speeches to, if that's one of the things you can do. That's one of the things I've done in the past. Get a list of 5,000 businesses that have salespeople in it. I call them up and offer to be a speaker. I've done that a lot of my career early on in particular. Then it makes sense to do, and it's either free or not very much money. So that's a strategy. A person can do it. I've had folks that I've done business with that worked in neighborhoods, and they would purchase direct, kind of direct mail we're about to get into, but they would purchase maybe someone going around leaving flyers kind of things. To me, it's kind of related. But I'm not a huge fan of purchasing leads in general, unless it's just a filtering mechanism where I can find out someone who fits my profile and I can call the business and offer to be a guest speaker. Otherwise, I would really rather spend the time on developing my organic lead generation. Okay, but it is an option, and I've had people use that. So I wanted to put it in here. Direct mail is still good, even though we're in the internet era. Postcards are great because people do look at them, they see them. So something in a postcard can still be good in a direct mail, as long as you're providing value. So you can still get those. You can still do direct mail. You can still direct mail to your list as well, and that is still something that makes sense. You just have to kind of research it and kind of be very targeted in how you do it. So some industries, direct mail still works well. Client accounts of people who have left your company is nice. I've seen people do that quite a bit, where if you're a financial advisor or an insurance or real estate, any kind of franchising, this often works well. And this is where you can contact a client, let them know you're the person assigned to handle their account, and schedule an annual review to get to know if they need additional services or ask for referrals from them, because they worked with the company and their rep is now gone. And a lot of them are grateful to hear from you. I have had clients do this to a lot of success, actually. So that is definitely a cool little strategy. So that's definitely something to look at if you work for some kind of franchisee, if you're with a big company, financial services, network marketing, insurance, any of that kind of thing, where the company is recognized and has a client list with no reps anymore, no account associates attached to it. Give them a call, offer them that annual review, offer them a check-in, introduce yourself that you're the person assigned to their account now, and you can start servicing them and go for the referrals and make sure that everything's going okay for them. Okay, internet marketing. Everyone asks about internet marketing. Internet marketing is really important. It's mostly a long-term strategy. Okay, so if you're doing internet marketing and you're looking at blogging, you're looking at creating content, videos, YouTube videos under keywords, things along those lines, WordPress blogging, anything where you're creating a library of content, I would do that stuff after business hours. Okay, I would do that stuff when I can't be talking to real, breathing, warm human beings with real problems. A lot of the challenge that business owners have, salespeople, coaches, when they're doing this, is they get hung up on internet marketing and they look at it like, hey, I can avoid calling and making sales because of the internet. People will just go to my website and they will buy stuff from me. And while that may occasionally happen, it's highly unlikely to happen very often. And if it does happen, you will still need somebody to call people and close sales, because human beings will always have interest in buying from human beings on something that is particularly something soft skill oriented, like a coaching or like a mentoring type of thing, a product along those lines, relationship oriented. Yes, you can sell, you know, you can sell things like Amazon sells things, and people will buy that kind of stuff online because they're buying a product per se. Those kinds of things you can do, but they don't really require the same level of internet marketing, and it's a different kind of internet marketing. Most business owners I know are doing content, they're thought leaders, or they're doing something selling homes, whatever. That I'm going to create content on. I'm going to create that stuff after business hours, because that's a long game, and it takes a long time doing that kind of free content stuff before you get enough leads from it to kind of sustain yourself. I would still do it. But it's going to be after business hours, after I've done on all of the internet marketing things I can do that directly lead to generating leads short term, so I can get paid. So I can stay in business. Remember, cash is oxygen. That way I can stay in business long enough to do the marketing videos kind of stuff. So I would still do that. I would just do it. I would be checking with myself and going, okay, when am I going to do that strategy? Oh, I'm going to do that strategy after business hours, or after the hours I can't be talking to people in my particular field that I'm working in. Okay, so if I got someone who's in solar panels, selling solar or something, they're talking to people, doing presentations, late into the evening oftentimes. So in that situation, they might do their internet marketing in the early morning, or they might do it after they get back from their appointments. But I'm not doing it when I can talk to people, because it takes too long to rely on it as a short-term payment thing. What you want it to do is you want to build it over time, be sustainable is what you want that to be. Your focus during business hours, when you can connect with warm-breathing human beings with real problems, is you want to talk to them and use the internet and use everything you can to connect with those people so you can help them solve their problems and you can get paid and help them get results fast. Okay, so there's the distinction on internet marketing. Is going to be which things are going to be things I'm doing after business hours, because it takes a long time to build a following on and convert into leads showing up in my inbox when I wake up in the morning. Okay, like YouTube and those kinds of things. Compared to I can do a webinar, and boom, I can get leads off that when the webinar's done. Okay, that is more short term. So there's a distinction there. So if you're not sure about it, and I'm working with you, we can talk about it. If you have your other coach that you may be working with, connect with them on that. But that's what my criteria that I would use around internet marketing, because internet marketing is awesome, but it can also be very dangerous for people, because they can put all their eggs in that basket thinking they can avoid selling. And you will never be able to avoid selling. You are going to have to get in front of people, one-on-one, phone, online, whatever, and you're going to have to make deals with them. You're going to have to discover problems with them. Okay, so if you're thinking, oh, I'll do internet marketing, and I come across a lot of people that do, they think, I won't have to talk to anybody. I'm just going to buy this dude's funnel program, and I'm going to be selling $30 million, subscription services on my site. I'm just going to, Google pay-per-click, and people are going to go there and go, oh, this is the most amazing thing, and they're going to buy it from me. I don't have to talk to anybody. Pipe dream, not going to happen. Hey, if you want to prove me wrong, feel free to send me your proof that I'm wrong. But I wouldn't count on it. With my clients, people I work with, people that are connected to me, I don't want you guys doing stuff, because these are your families. This is how you're going to be feeding your family, how you're going to keep be making your family be okay. And I don't feel okay with telling people things that I don't know work or I've seen not work consistently. I don't feel okay about that. So for me, I'm telling you, my opinion is, don't do internet marketing to avoid selling. If you're in that space, go do the short-term lead generation stuff we've talked about to this point, because you're never going to avoid selling. You're just may delay it for a while, and usually you'll run out of money trying to delay it. And then what'll happen when you do it, you're so you're so lacking sales that then your desperation and anxiety comes out and it repels people. So internet marketing is not meant to avoid selling. It's meant to generate leads. The purpose of the internet is to generate leads. Okay, so that's my 2 cents on that. Agree, disagree, do whatever you feel is best. That's my feedback from working with thousands of clients is do your internet marketing on long-term strategies after business hours. Do the short-term things on internet marketing. Do those during business hours is fine. People are on social media. They are on the internet all the time. There's nothing wrong necessarily with using it, but just be aware of what you are doing. I create content all the time, and I do it when I can't be talking to warm, breathing human beings. Okay, I'm making this video right now that you are watching, listening, hearing, whatever. This is being made right now after business hours when I can't be talking to warm, breathing human beings with real problems to solve, because that's the appropriate time to do it. Okay, cool. So we'll dive into this. So a message, one of the great ways to network, we talked about networking earlier. And networking over internet is really cool too. You can message friends over social media and your Facebook friends or people that you're connected to, right? Especially if they're business people. Okay, this is what we're really referring to here. You can say especially if they are business people, and say, do you accept referrals? Then you can use the referral appointment strategy discussed under the networking events video content or earlier we covered. That's a great strategy. So a lot of people are on social media, they're on messaging services, so message them that way and say, do you accept referrals? And then set a referral meeting with them. That works out nicely. When you get advanced, you can do YouTube videos under keywords. Look under Google, look under YouTube, find what people are searching for in your niche, and you can create content and determine with precision where you're going to create high quality, super high value content, videos that you're going and blogs, maybe articles as well. Probably take a video and turn it into a blog post, right? And post search engine optimized content. Maybe at least twice a week if you're doing blogging. Post at least twice a week. I would be focusing more on video personally, and then transcribe it into content. They're a little bit different when you're doing videos. You can it's a little more leeway, but it's cool to take videos and turn them through transcription into articles. They usually take a little bit of cleaning up because you're blogging off a transcribed video is going to be a little bit different than it will be on the actual video, meaning that the video you can get away with saying things certain ways that may not make greatest sense in a blog post, and I can say things that make a lot more sense when I'm saying them, and then when I write them, I had to learn this the hard way. Like the way that I talk versus the way that I write doesn't naturally make sense in writing super well. A lot of run-on sentences, things like that. So I had to learn how to change my transcribed videos into writing and communicating effectively where a 10-year-old could understand it, and it's super simple. So they're a little bit different, but you can use YouTube videos you make for marketing, and you can use them to transcribe into blog articles and things like written content too. Okay, great stuff to do. Create a squeeze page here with a video incentive you can give away in exchange for their contact information. We really talked about that a little bit earlier about offering a free report. You can absolutely do that. The Instant Sales Master Blueprint is one of the ones I've used in the past for that. We're going to figure that out from the FFDs of your niche, and that will be one of the things that you'll look at through talking to people and kind of get an idea of what do they want to know, and you create a giveaway. So we'll do that. You and your coach, or you and me if I'm coaching you. And again, what's the purpose of the internet? It's to generate leads. Remember, anytime you click on anything on the internet, you are a lead for someone. See, a lot of these free social media services, why are they free? Well, the reason they're free is the fact that you are the product. If you're using Facebook or Instagram or whatever by the time you watch and check out this video, whatever is the current social media dominant services people use. Those, if they're free, it's because you're the product. That's just the bottom line. Okay, so understand that anytime you click on anything on the internet, you're a lead for somebody, and we're just putting this in your favor for your business. Okay, so another great thing we'll talk about here is join social media groups that have your target market in them. One other thing on internet marketing I'll do, I mentioned, webinars are great to do over internet marketing, over social media. You can promote them over social media, host them on the etc. Also, it's good to message friends that are business people, over social media and say, do you accept referrals? That's great. You can also do that for common interest areas. So another thing you might do is I'm a big old movie buff, so I belong to a lot of groups that talk about old movies, and I can create connection there and then friend them or whatever on my own feeds, and then as I post content, some of them the content for my niche will appeal to the people who are I got from my hobby group, if you will. Running is another thing I like to do, so I belong to things like that. So I'll generate leads that way by friending people, putting out content. They may click on it and become a lead. If not, they may at least promote it for me. So that's another way to expand your list, is to be taking your hobbies and personal interests that you have and friending people that way, and then they can get access to the free content you put out. Just don't blitz people. Just don't make everything promotion. That's not going to work. It probably needs to be like a 5-to-1 ratio, where you're putting out 5 content and then any promotion. I'm big on just putting out free content and pull people into your funnel that way on any of your posts. Great. So then join social media groups that have your target market in them. So again, any kind of networking, any kind of entrepreneur groups, whatever it is that you are working in your niche. I know I do a lot of entrepreneur and business people kind of groups, and find out what those groups are talking about. People are posting things, they're asking questions. Don't go in there blasting stuff. Go in there and add value. Answer questions. If people are putting questions in there, you can go take that as an idea to create some content, and you can go create video on it or some content on it, and then post the link in there. Let people know, hey, I have a video on how to solve this, and put content in there. And then you can friend these people, and you can connect with them privately. And find out what the problems are with them, and move them through to maybe setting an appointment with you, or at least add value and asking for referrals, right? But creating content on problems people are asking is just helpful. Just don't get into promo. All we're trying to do here, we're not trying to pitch any product or service. All we're trying to do is add value and get people to be connected to you on the long term, follow you basically. So when you're putting out content, they're seeing your content. They're naturally going to eventually want to find out more if it speaks to them. But it might take someone 4 or 5 times of hearing you put out high quality content or webinars or something before they opt in to talk to you. That's okay. That's just part of the process. The universe or the market is going to test you to see how committed you are. So don't get discouraged if you start putting out content and people are not responding to it to the level that you want. This is a long game, and people are going to test you to see if you're going to continue to put out content and add value, or if you're really just, flash in the pan. Okay, so just understand that you have to earn that trust. So what we want to do again is find out problems that they are discussing in these groups that have your target market, and create content, post it in the group, add value, answer questions, support people, and friend them, connect with them individually to do referral meetings, get speeches, free sessions, and invite to your webinars and events. Common interests and the ones that you have your target market in. Another is pay-per-click Google or Facebook advertising. Gary Vaynerchuk's always talking about this stuff, but this is great to drive traffic to your blog or drive traffic to your website, YouTube, whatever you're doing here, Facebook fan page, etc. Any of the things you might be doing around that. And so creating ads is cool. I've done Facebook ads. I like Facebook ads, especially if it's promoting my Facebook event, which is basically a webinar. Those are great. So definitely, take a look at that. I'm a little bit more of a fan of the organic stuff and really creating great content where Google will recognize, hey, this is really great content. People want to watch this stuff. I'm a little more interested in that personally than trying to buy content, trying to buy attention. But you can definitely do that, and at times it makes sense, especially again, by the time you watch this video, some of the specifics around internet marketing might be different. Okay, so that's just something you have to research and find out and check in. 'Cause it's always changing, but Facebook ads have been pretty good here recently, so just something to consider. And again, um, those are some strategies to generate leads. Okay, there's thousands of strategies to generate leads. The question isn't, I don't know how to generate leads. It's why aren't you generating leads? If you really care about people, which I know you do, or you probably wouldn't be here, you really want to make a difference in the world, you like people, then go out and prospect and meet people and help them solve their difficult problems. You have an expertise, you at least have a focus. Go ahead and tell everybody about it in an effective way, in a way where you're not pushing on anybody. And all these strategies are designed to pull, not to push. Okay, people love to buy, they hate to be sold, right? So we're putting out valuable content to pull them to you. So we're not blasting, we're not forcing, we're literally pulling them to you. That's the whole point of this. The essence of influence is pull, not push. Another strategy to kind of combine what we were talking about here is to use goal setting. And like I said, I'm always going to add new things to this, but I'm always open to new lead generation ideas. So feel free to let me know anything you come up with or have seen. I'm always open to new ideas. Nobody has a monopoly on all the good ideas. So getting back to this, use goal setting. So one of the key things you must do is you must take enough action to accomplish your goals. It's one of the biggest things I see people in their businesses not do. They don't take near enough action, contacting near enough people. Kind of like the 80-20 rule when you first start until you're so busy that you have way too many customers and clients. You can't possibly spend 80% of your time generating leads anymore, right? And now you move it maybe down to 50% of the time you're generating leads. But that's the place you start, in my opinion. You don't start at 10% of your time generating leads. You're not going to make it, right? So set a goal for the number of leads that you want to have in your database. My suggestion would be you set a goal to have at least 200 leads at all times. And this is important for you to have an abundant mindset about leads. When I say leads, these are people you can reach out to, people who would know your name, people that you have access to putting content out to connecting with, to do all these strategies with. Okay, so that'd be my suggestion, have at least 200 leads at all times. If you do not, then start going through these and adding to your lists. If you're like worst case scenario, you can always use, like I said, the reference USA, things like that, where you can get lists of businesses that maybe you could add value to, and go that approach. Or again, what you can do is you get out and you find out where your niche is hanging out. I have yet to see a situation where I'm working with somebody and we haven't been able to find them 200 leads at all times. It's like I said, the average person has up to 250 people they already know and 25 people just like them. So if everyone let's say you know 250 people, and everyone you know that they have 250 people that they know, right? Now you start seeing how fast this thing accelerates. You know 250 people, each of those people know 250 people. And then those two people know 250 people. So it doesn't take long before your network can be really big if you be humble about it and you go, okay, I'm going to go, this is my mission. I'm going to go out and make a difference for people. I'm going to let everyone know that I'm doing this so I can help a bunch of people, right? Not sell everybody. You're trying to help people. You're trying to pull people to you. If they're interested, then we can talk about a sales conversation, right? But right now you're focusing on adding value, letting people know who you add value for. You're not calling people up to sell them something at this point, right? Until they've expressed interest, and then you can have a conversation about that. So that would be my suggestion. Use this to get yours in writing. Take your lead inventory goal. I'm going to say you have at least 200 would be my suggestion. And then what's your strategy to maintain your lead inventory? I would look at all of these strategies and say, which ones am I going to do? I pick at least 4, and then how much of each are you going to do? I would say you at least want to be talking to 5 new people a day in pretty much any industry, minimum 5 new people a day. Like, Just if you're looking for a shotgun approach of, hey Chris, how many people should I talk to a day? I'd say at least 5 in almost any situation. But you'd be more strategic than that. I strongly suggest you be more strategic than that. So if you're using all these strategies, you ought to have more leads of people to contact than you really have time for, and then you prioritize which ones you feel are going to give you the most return on your investment. So you're going to have some short term and some long term. Maybe front load the short term, right? And you do the long term stuff after business hours. So put that together in writing. Take those tactics, put it in the tracker, the daily tracker that we talked about in another video. On how to keep, how to stay consistent in your sales and make enough money, right? That you want to move these tactics into that tracker and make commitments to yourself on how much you are going to do each week, each day of activity on each tactic, and then track it, measure it, and then you can make adjustments as you go along here every month or two or whatever. Make adjustments on what tactics you're doing. That's how you be a pro. Right, so I wish you well on this journey. It's a great, fun journey, making a difference for a ton of people, and you'll get better and better as you go. This may seem overwhelming if you haven't, done this before, but I'm gonna let you know. Once you get your head kind of around these things, it becomes very simple because you're going to understand and you're going to see patterns repeat themselves. So you're going to go, okay, so like I know how people respond to this. I know what I'm going to hear when I say that. You're going to get patterns. And then once that happens, then you start to grin and you become excited because your confidence goes to the roof because now you know, hey, I know what my market wants, and I know how to give it to them in a way that it's going to make a difference for them. And then you can do that over and over and over. If you can do it once, you can do it 1,000 times. So go take this, go make a difference for a lot of people, fill your pipeline, have tons of conversations so you have that abundant mindset, and don't take it seriously, be a professional. It's time to grow up and get serious. If you haven't done this before, you can do it. It's much more of an effort thing than it is a skill thing. This will develop your skill through effort. I believe in you. Any questions or help that you need, let me know, and we will make sure that we've got your questions answered. And I wish you nothing but the best of success.